Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the season finale of Season 6 here at Sunday Night Skippy. We've got the Skippy Formula 2 race coming at you live here from Long Beach, virtual Long Beach at least, and I need to unmute my fellow broadcasters who are not Pete, but in the booth. As always, we've got Peter Lee. How are you doing, Peter?
Hi, Chris. I'm doing great. Looking forward to a good race here.
Me too. And joining us is Michael McLeod, who had a good run here in Skippy Formula 2. Looking forward to getting your perspective, especially at this racetrack, which is certainly one of the more tricky ones. Is that the word I'm looking for?
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, with all these walls, I'd say overall this track is very rewarding when you get it right, but when you get it wrong, you really get it wrong.
Well, we're a little late to the get-go here. The lights are out, green flag is down, and we are underway. Rafael Bofill slides into that first spot there, starting on the pole. Pim Luth starting outside pole will take second, and they are down into... Oh, we've got a huge wreck.
Looks like Nick Tillo, I think, got in the back of Joe Zubo right off the bat and breaking into turn one.
Well, the timing scored him as the leader for just a split second there, but certainly not the way he wanted to take it. Oh, and Pim Luth's gonna... boy, that's a tug.
Oh, and Jake Ashe just hit the wall on the outside of turn 4.
And that's gonna collect Nick too, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So, not disappointing so far.
Now it looks like Rafael Bofill's far in the lead. Let's see what goes on here. Charles Weber second, coming down the first straight, and let's see what happens here. And if the rest of the pack can get back into their draft.
So Rich Butler's leading this pack. This is the tightest racing we had going on here. Battle for fourth, and while I'm thinking about that, let's pull everything up so people can see what I'm seeing here. But yeah, he's got Craig Montgomery, Rob Chestnut, Russ Pottenberg, and Pim Luth all behind him in a row, and they're going to see what they can do about catching Dan Pegowski on their way to Chuck Weber and Rafael Bofill.
When you have a moment...
In the hairpin, we have another incident here. I can't quite tell which cars, but...
Chestnut and Nick Tullo.
Yeah. You know that... I was just remembering, back with all the IndyCar incidents here, there was an incident about, 8 or 10 years ago, Joseph Newgarden and Derek Franchitti, just in that turn 1, coming in at the end of this long front straight. It looked almost exactly like that, what happened there with Joe Zubovich.
Chris, how's it going, Chris Herrera? Good to see you in the audience. Yeah, awesome video. That was actually, I believe at least, he had it written, produced, etc. by Adam Wright. So we'll show that again before the Skippy Formula 1 race. I don't know if you guys get to see that. But, yeah, so a lot of action, not the right kind of action for these drivers early on. But as we say, anything can happen. And so you got to keep your head down and keeping on there. Let's look at the gap. There's the interval. There's the gap. Sorry, we are just like catching up here. I feel like I can finally take a little bit of a breath. We've got all the overlays up. The crashes are kind of...
That's the Long Beach action going on right there.
Serious, yeah. Holy cow. Off my game tonight, fellas. I am sorry, but these guys are giving us lots to look at. And despite all that, there's still some good racing to be had. Rob Chestnut and Nick Tullo there in the 12 and the 181 for P7. This one's probably going to be shaped up to be pretty good. Although, okay, so talk to me about this, Mike. We see Rob Chestnut coming down pit lane. It doesn't look like he's any damage or anything. Is this a strategy play here?
I would guess so, personally, because I did post up about the pit stops in our Discord there, and he may be trying to go for the undercut and the simple fueling option, because if he can fuel now and just stay in open air and hold on to his pace without anyone interrupting him, he can actually gain good seconds on all the other cars.
Yeah, Michael, it's just so interesting because the way the fuel limits in Skippy Formula 2 run, to your point on the Discord, I think if people can catch some draft or even just conserve fuel, they might be able to get by with just one stop, and that could give a big advantage here.
I actually noticed that maybe they changed it for this session, but they changed it to 32%, which makes it a little bit harder to do one stop. Maybe they were reading my messages.
You're to blame.
Oh shit. I don't know if you've gone over for the viewers what happened, all the incidences on the first lap, but maybe if you've got a little few seconds, I'd love to see it myself.
Yeah, we'll go back. I especially want to see Joe Zubovich there because he skipped down into the catch area there. I'm kind of curious to see how that panned out. Real quick before we do that, though, I would be remiss. Now, granted, I may have the number of drop weeks incorrect, but right before the race, this is part of my...
Sorry to interrupt, Chris, but it looks like Rusty Pottenberg and Joe Zubov might have had another coming together around the fountain. So that's another one to check in on replay after in a minute.
We're adding to the list. You're adding to the list. There's a lot of red in my event log here. It's all right though. These it looks like Rusty's car is no worse for the wear, but you know it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Could be.
I think Rusty. I just went back and saw Rusty just had a spin on turn 1. Luckily, he got away without damage or any contact with anyone else, so that's a plus for Rusty.
Okay, there you go. And Joe's out there cruising as well, so that's good. Let me pull up the standings here. So I may have gotten, it was a rush job, so I may have gotten the drop weeks wrong. So I'll take credit for that. Blame. This is your battle for the championship here at the moment with 9 races counting out of 11 run so far. Rafael Bofill has a 6-point lead for Jake Gaucher, and you can see some single-digit gaps throughout the field there. Some double digits, so I think there's some drivers who are pretty comfortable with where they're sitting at, and some drivers who are not participating tonight. So they're obviously not going to be a factor, but yeah, I think the battle for first, and then obviously Daniel Pikowski and Rusty Pottenberg, at least what I'm showing, they're in a dead heat there for 4th overall.
So unfortunately, Oliver out with broken wrists.
And Oliver out, yes. Yeah, those unicycles, man, I'll tell you what.
Poor guy, man, poor guy. I actually believed him when he said his wheel broke his wrist.
I think everyone on the league Discord believing that.
I mean, when everybody started getting their direct drive wheels there at first, there was some, especially when we were doing Saturday Night Shenanigans, there was some iRacing related injuries. So yeah, it wasn't out of the realm of possibility for sure.
I'll tell you what, coming into turn 8, Charles Weber is really pressuring Rafa Bofill. They were side by side coming up to turn 8, and given what happened to Jake Gaucher, and since Rafa is 6 points ahead, just like we were talking about last time, Chris, you wonder if at some point Rafa just lets Charles go. He doesn't need to risk coming together with Charles here in order to win the season championship.
He's got it in the bag as of right now, so that, I mean, the risk-based decision making going on right there has gotta weigh that for sure.
Michael, what goes through your head in that kind of situation? Do you just drive your race and try to win, or are you thinking about the season?
If I got someone right behind me, I've got 2 thoughts on my head. Is I have to either push myself hard enough to get 1 second or more and create that gap and get them out of my draft, or the other option is to go into the pits instead of giving the guy behind me free time, 3 seconds and fuel savings, because you're not going to win, with the guy 0.2 behind you.
Yeah. For me, it's again, this all I think just really reflects the different personalities of different competitors. But for me, I'm taking the risk-based calculation. How long do I trust the guy behind me not to get into my gearbox?
It looks like Charles Weber here. He's really pushing him and testing him and trying to see how Rafael Bofill is going to respond up here. So I'd love to see how this turns out, and it's going to be tight all race by the looks of it.
Sure.
And it's interesting too because at the very beginning, Raphael had quite a gap, and so Charles was able to close that gap to create this race. So it looks like Charles may have more pace, and so we'll have to see what happens at the end of this, and if Charles will try to maximize that pace through pit stops or not.
There are some good passing opportunities here. Coming down the front straight, breaking into turn 1 is a classic place, although as we see it, it's also prone to a lot of incidents. And then as they get around the fountain here and get onto the backside, there are also some opportunities around here. And the last time around, Charles Webber actually got side by side, I think, coming out of turn 5. And so it's, you know, there's super high risk everywhere with this kind of concrete canyon that you're driving through, but just also lots of good opportunities for side-by-side racing.
The other factor for, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I got Pimluth in the pits. That's all I wanted to say. Just keep your eye on that for another fuel strategy.
Okay. I just wanted to make note that this track is a hot track. Our public races all week have been about 20 to Celsius, maybe 18 Celsius. It looks like this is a very hot track at 35 Celsius. Someone do the conversion for me, please.
We got the weather box here. Let's see. I think I can do that. 95.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is a very hot track, so that's going to be very different situations for these guys to deal with compared to what they're used to. So it'll also change what they're thinking going into every turn, especially how much they want to push too wide anywhere, really.
New race leader Dan Pagowski, Raphael Bofill, and Chuck Weber are down pit road.
Charles Weber and Raphael as well.
And we got Craig Montgomery and Rich Beller are currently 1, 2, 3, and they have not pit. So, other than Nick Tullo, they remain the only drivers who have yet to take their first pit stop. I'm assuming. Let me look. Actually, you know what? Well, so Jake Ashe, Joe Zubovich, and Rusty Pottenberg all have a pit stop, but that was on lap 1. So I don't know that that's going to be a strategy play. That might have been related to their early races.
Yeah, it's great to see. Oh, go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to quickly say I saw Charles Weber missed his pit box just by a few feet and had to reverse, so I'm wondering if that's going to hurt him in his chase down of Raphael in the end here. Interesting.
I was going to say it's good to see Craig Montgomery up there at the front. You know, he's pretty new to the league, and then we're seeing, you know, Rich Butler continue just his really noticeable improvement, and he's just right on Craig's gearbox. Wonder if there's something wrong with Rusty's car. He seems to have slowed. It'll be interesting to see if he comes into the pits. Maybe he bent something.
Sparks flying.
Ooh, fireworks.
Oh, yeah, his car is not steering properly, so I'll bet he'll duck into the pits for a repair. Yep, there we go.
Oh.
Let's take a look. Ooh. I'm not sure what the heck happened there. Anyway.
I think you guys mentioned him on the broadcast, and all of a sudden he thought, hey, I should hit a wall now.
Michael, I think that was you, wasn't it?
You know what? I kind of figured this broadcast, let's name every single person and see what happens.
Just keep it fair, at least.
Exactly. Why single anyone out?
Well, other than this current battle for P2 among the cars who have not pit yet, we've got a little bit of a break here. So let's go back and look at some of these earlier incidents real quick. Here's Joe Zubovich. Wow, I don't know how that car reacted like that.
It was a pretty violent.
Yeah, somebody
Oh,
clearly got
wow.
into him, but that
Oh,
was
wow. And what, no damage for the guy behind?
apparently, yeah, the physics there were. Oh, I can be able to see what happened there. With that.
But you know, in defense of these guys, we've seen these things in the very top levels of the sport. Oh no, Pimluth. Yep.
This is a replay.
Yep.
Oh yeah, showing replays here.
Yep.
Oh yep, there we go. We saw that one. Yeah. All right. I think those were.
Oh, there's Jake's replay there, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just kept bunny hopping each other.
And it's tough, you know. You call it the concrete canyon there. I like that. I don't know that I'm sure that's been said before, but I haven't heard that one. I really enjoy that because, you know what? There's just no margin for error. There's no runoff. Well, I mean, Joe Zubovich on one of the runoff areas, but not there anyway. But you know what I mean? You know, these walls will sneak up on you, and you know what you might be able to get away with in other places. Just not the case here.
Would you be able to pull up everyone's fastest lap time? Because I'm curious to see what happens here. Daniel Pogowski hasn't pit yet, so I'm really curious to see if his pace that he's been going at is going to be enough to put him into the leaders of Beaufil and Weber.
So he's got a 133.859. Beaufil's 133.305. He's about a half second off. Weber's got the hot lap there, the 162. So, yeah, he's a little bit off as far as best time goes. And let's see.
Now, this is a track where the draft is good for, just like we saw, you know, with the Formula One race at Baku today. This is a track where, you know, a good 5 or 6 tenths at least.
No spoilers, I haven't watched it yet.
Nick Tullo's going to duck in, so that's going to leave Chuck Weber there. I'm going to pull up the lap times that they've been running so we can compare. Because I think when they pulled out, he was 3 seconds behind Rafa, and now it's down to 2. You can see right there, yeah, 9. He's 0.1 seconds, 0.5 seconds faster in the last 2 laps.
And it looks like Charles Weber has, again, worked hard to close this gap, so I'm really curious to see what he's going to try and do to make the pass. If he's going to try and pass in the pits, pass by pace, by undercut, overcut, or just pass on the track in a corner.
Oh, you know what they say, it's one thing to catch, it's another to pass. Craig Montgomery and Pim Luth. This is a great, holy cow, look at that, man. These guys are wheeling it.
Yeah, that's a real battle. Yeah, I was about to say before, you know, that it might look, to someone who doesn't follow auto racing that closely, for any viewers like that, it might look a little rough just seeing all these incidents, but you only need to look at the very top levels like IndyCar. I don't know if you guys have watched the IndyCar here at Long Beach the last few years, but it wasn't that long ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, when there was a gigantic pileup, 6 or 7 cars, just before or just after the fountain, before turn 4, and you know,
Insert Senna quote.
Go ahead.
No, I just say insert Senna quote if it's long, when there's a gap and you don't take it, or how does it go?
Yes.
Just continue with the story. I'm listening here.
Yeah, and you know, it's just one of these tracks where if someone gets sideways, or if 2 cars have it coming together, it can really cause problems for several cars behind. And you know, it's not so bad in this Skippy Formula 2 where there's a manageable number of cars, but for the next race in Skippy Formula 1, you know, I think everyone will be on kind of a knife edge, just hoping that things stay clean.
Well, here Pim Lewis going for his pass, going into, what turn is this? 5, 6, 6? I don't even know the numbers. Sorry.
Pim's really trying to give us the view of iRacing's modeling of the internals of the Skip Barber Formula 2000. There, he was poking and prodding.
It looks like he has damage. His rear wing is all bent. It's I don't know, maybe it's the Red Bull flexing wing he's got going on. Still no spoilers, please.
Oh boy, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, all I can say, Michael, is don't miss it. Make sure to take time to
Oh,
watch
yeah,
it.
I got it on my laptop. I'm ready. Let's take a look around the track. Sorry,
Yeah.
you go.
Who haven't we covered in a bit here? I feel like we've got a lot of good drivers out here tonight, and I'm sure everybody gets
Who haven't we named yet? I don't think we've named Rob Chestnut.
So speaking
Have
of
we?
which, down the pit road here, this is gonna be, I believe, his second. Yeah, I think everybody had already second. So this is gonna be his second stop, and the first, yes, the first one on his strategy second stop. Not the first driver to have 2 stops total because of the incidents early on, but.
Who was it you said again that did the early pit?
I think that was Craig Montgomery, and so that will be interesting. You know, I'm looking at Jake Ashe, and Jake is turning some pretty good times. But he's going to have to make up maybe 3 more positions, I think, to have a shot at the season championship. And what he's got to hope is that he can make up maybe 3 positions, and that Rafa has some sort of issue or incident that basically knocks him back to the bottom.
I think Jake is a lap down on the guys he's with right now, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and granted, with drop weeks, so it's like you were mentioning, it's not so simple that it's just an easy 6 points. But yeah, certainly, it's in Rafa's best interest to keep as many positions in between those two as humanly possible.
Does Jake's car have damage? I'm hearing funny things while I'm following his car.
I don't. Honestly, there might be a bug because when I ride along with any of these guys, it sounds like they're scraping.
One thing I've been noticing to that point, Michael and Chris, is that coming around here, not this turn 4, but this next turn 5, there are those big rumble strips, big curbing, and sometimes I notice that a car sounds okay until they run over those, and then they sound like a bucket of loose bolts, at least for a few laps.
Mechanical music.
I think in your line of work, you're pretty familiar with that sound, aren't you?
Oh yeah, it's a thing of beauty. It means I know I'm going to get paid tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Oh, and Raphael is into the pits. Charles Weber had caught up to him and was starting to get his draft. Is Raphael listening to this broadcast?
Maybe.
Let's see does Charles Weber just try to pace it out for the pass, or does he pit next lap?
The game is afoot.
So let's see, the Raphael's pace lap after lap is 133s, mid 133s. So let's see, Charles Weber's pace is some 132s. So if he plays this out and is able to not tap the walls, this could work. This is going to come down to the wire on the very last lap. This is going to be the race to watch. Right now they're on islands, but it won't be that way at the end.
Well, you can see on the track map there, keep an eye. Rafa. Airways. What is the gap? 34 seconds. Interesting.
So the pit stop then I guess is around 31 to 30. 34 seconds, I'm guessing. 35 maybe? But I guess let's see.
Let's find out. Yeah, shall we?
Rick Butler has gotten himself into a nice position right now. He's in 4th, and he's doing nicely up there right now.
He certainly is, and he's just really. It's just been so noticeable, especially the second half of the season. Just every week, you just see his runs getting stronger, faster, more consistent. Just great to see that improvement.
It looks like Charles Weber did dip into the pits.
This is gonna be fun to see how this comes out now, huh?
So his plan, it looks like, is to stick with him rather than outpace him alone.
And
and there he is.
Looks like they've pretty much maintained the lap that they had before the pit stops.
They let's see, very, very similar times. Only about 0.8 seconds separates their entire time down pit road from cone to cone. So,
Wow.
and 8 seconds obviously making a difference. And Chuck being the slower of the 2 times. So, Alpha beat him by 0.8 seconds.
It's not for position, but Rusty Pontenberg is starting to apply some pressure on Craig Montgomery. Craig Montgomery, of course, running way up, I guess, in P3 at this time, and Rusty having the kind of early race issues, being laps down. But
He may not pass him too.
Yeah.
Because Rusty is a lot down, so we may not see a pass here, but that would be great on Rusty to just stick with one of the top place players here and hopefully gain some time back.
Right. Yeah, this brings up another discussion on the league Discord that comes up from time to time, which has to do with blue flag rules. Because in Sunday Night Skippy, the blue flag is instructional, not informational. And so the issue here is if Rusty were to pass Craig Montgomery, then he would be immediately served the blue flag. And so then there's a judgment call if Rusty actually has pace on Craig on whether he'd have to yield the position back or not. And it's never clear cut. And so it's always a pretty active discussion on the Discord.
Okay. Let's see, who has 2 pit stops so far and who has only 1?
And then of the ones who have only 1, who are trying to get by with just 1.
Given the fuel limit change, I don't think it's possible, especially seeing how the race is going with minimal drafting happening here. I can't see it happening just because no one seems to be playing along with the drafts. It's still obviously possible here. It's just that you have to draft every single lap and basically race as if you're last and then you come in first, and it's not easy to do. It's just not easy to do.
Michael, I'm just so fascinated with this strategy, and I think you and I were having a lot of discussion about this for the race at Interlagos this year.
I was going to do it too.
And remind me, did you actually manage with just 1 stop, or did you go for 2?
So I did for 2, and what I ended up doing, if you remember, is I pitted on the very first lap, and I just said, forget this, I'm gonna just try and do my own pace in my own open air, and then it ended up working. I basically wasn't racing anyone the whole race. It was just hot lapping, and I ended up in first because the guys ended up either running out of fuel or in the pits. So I didn't even have to make any passes. It was sort of convenient in a lot of ways.
I think this is a great thing about the Skippy Formula 2 format right now, because this season before at Interlagos, I won the race, but I did have to pit on the last lap for a quick splash, and that allowed 3 cars to pass me while I was in the pits, but all 3 cars sputtered on fuel and did not finish the race, and so I ended up winning. But it was that close.
Yeah, I always find it interesting how to what people do for like and choose to use as their pit strategy. And SF2 is it's a great platform to learn the beginning levels of racing with other people in a league, wheel to wheel around people who are respectful of each other, and pit strategies, and figure that out. I guess like I've said it before, I'll say it again, like SF2 without it, I don't think I would be anywhere. I'd be lost. And so I owe it all to SF2, to be honest.
Well, I feel the same way. It's just a great part of the whole development aspect of this league. And we had another graduation, this week. Ray Bartnikowski, I think, went over the 2,000 iRating mark.
Transcended, I believe, is the word you're looking for.
Transcended, yes. I was about to say disqualified, but transcended is so much nicer.
You know what? It's been half of the SF2 field is disqualified this season. I'll use that word. Okay, but that's a good sign. You know what? Someone said to me, like, it means it's working. It's true. Like, the idea of SF2 is working.
I agree. There was controversy, though.
Oh, yeah.
There's always controversy because what constitutes a valid competitor in SF2? I think is just it's there are rules. Like if you've ever had an iRating above 2,000 ever, then you're not SF2. But there's some judgment call in all of this, and I think basically the spirit of Skippy Formula 2, are those people who are still fairly new to the sport, but are really showing dedication and are improving week to week, and maybe here have a chance to battle for podiums or top fives, whereas they might still be a year or more off doing that in the full Skippy Formula 1. But it was quite a robust discussion, Michael, that was going on this week, wasn't there?
Oh, the one that yeah, I understand where you're going. And honestly, I didn't intend to have any harm or any. I really, looking back, I regret having raced that race wholeheartedly. I do. Because I just did not want any of that to blow up in the way that it did, and I feel so bad.
Well, I don't think anyone feels good on any side of that discussion, but it was a necessary discussion because it's a way in the culture of this league to reinforce what it is that it's trying to accomplish with SF2.
Yeah, for me personally, I started in SF2 because I was new to iRacing. I'd only been on like a month and a half when I started SF2. Just having some kind of like in-car, in real person background, it helps a little bit. And that's why I say like SF2 without it, I'd be lost because I couldn't even imagine going into SF1. And so I'm really thankful of that. And, point taken, don't worry, I'm not going to be in SF2. I don't even want to think about it. I'm done.
Hey, back to the race. Just sorry to interrupt, but I think Rafa was fast enough that he crossed the start-finish line before the 35-minute mark. So I think that's going to put everyone on an extra lap. So if anyone was trying to, go get by with one stop, I don't know if there is anyone. It looks like there isn't. But if there were, that would have been bad news.
Well, speaking of all that, so catching up on the comments here, we got coming on Twitch, Inside Out Racing. I think this is from our discussion earlier about the weird sounds coming from Skivvies, but it said the net code makes everyone damaged, so that might have something to do with it. And then Chris Herrera rightly pointing out, these guys are really starting to, turn down the screws here, Rafa and Chuck, because Rafa's trying to set some purple laps and doing so successfully, but you can see the last 2 laps. Even though the lap 20 there, you can see Rafa's time 1:32.768 was nearly a purple lap, but Chuck just a little bit faster. So we'll see what happens on here in lap 21 as they get the white flag for the last lap of the race. He's gonna need more. Yeah, no, a little bit slower that time. So this looks like Bofil's race to lose. And I'm peeping Jake Ashe there, his closest contender in the championship points, down in P9 at the moment. Back on the lead lap, but
it looks like Bofil really turned up the dials here. The dials here. I don't know, however you want to say it. He turned on the turbos.
yeah.
His laps have really been stellar and consistent. So it's kept Weber out of striking range of getting that draft and making a pass and adding pressure. So he's done very, very well.
You can see the intervals here. There's not much in the way of close races. This battle for the lead and Butler there, it's got a 2-second lead, about the same for 5. Jake's got 7 seconds to make up, so to even gain one more spot. So barring anything crazy happening here.
I see Chris Herrera asking a question about whether this will be Rafa Bofil's last race in SF2 since he's the presumed champion.
Yes.
And yes, it would be.
Yep.
He'll be. And
There
I
he
think
goes.
we can in this case we can use the word disqualified from SF2 instead of transcended, right?
Well, I mean, a heck of a, and look at that. Chuck takes the purple lap there on the last one. He gave it all. He gave it his all.
Fantastic.
All you can do. Dan Pagowski will finish on the podium after leading a few laps there. Some great fuel strategy. Pim Luth, after some early race incidents, will finish 4th. Rich Butler's up 4 spots total into P5.
Awesome.
And he's not far behind the leaders here either.
Mm-hmm.
So he's had a hell of a race.
Good to see Craig Montgomery finishing well at P6.
We'll see. Rob Chestnut might try to send it here on Nick Tello and get one more spot before the end of it, but they're both going to get a little loose, a little squirrely there off the edge of the hairpin. Doesn't look like he's going to have the momentum to take that 7th spot away overall, but still a pretty good run, up 2 spots there into P8.
It looked like Nick tried to avoid the draft going way, way inside, and then they both did it.
And Jake celebrating slash I don't know what the right word would be for that, but a nice hard fought season. I imagine he's going to end up second overall in the points. And
He had a great season, really. Amongst the most consistent drivers in SF2 this season.
Yeah, good race, everyone. I'm glad I watched it. It was lots of fun to watch.
Let's check out what we've got for our results. Congratulations to Rafael Bofil for the win and presumptive SF2 champion. Chuck Weber in 2nd, Dan Pagowski in 3rd, and we talked about Rich Butler at 4 spots. Dan Pagowski got 5 spots from his grid position, so really nice job by those 2 drivers for sure. Pim Luth in 4th, and Craig Montgomery, Nick Tello, Rob Chestnut, Jake Ashe, Joe Zubovich, and Rusty Pottenberg. And yeah, man, what a great season. I mean, you guys said all the things that I was gonna want to say about SF2 anyway, from the mouths of people who've actually raced these races. So probably means more coming from you, but it's just a lot of fun watching this series and then seeing the progression and how quick it is. I mean, we might end up having an attrition issue because people just seem to be elevating their game very quickly by competing and getting involved in the coaching series. And
I think some of these SF2 guys are starting to scare the top 10 SF1 guys a little bit, and that's that's saying something.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Let's see. We're gonna. I doubt that Rafa's to or even want to come in to do an interview. But any final thoughts here? We'll get reset and get you guys ready for the SF1 race, which we're all excited to watch. But final thoughts here on the SF2 season and these drivers' performance.
Well, Chris, I really just had a blast watching these races with you, and I think SF2 is such a special part of this whole league, and so it's just great to really get to know these guys and watch them improve like this week after week, and it gets me charged up for the SF1 race.
I guess my final thoughts is just like, wow, the difference that SF2 makes for everybody. All of these guys here, I remember how it was for me and for all of them, of where it was at the beginning of the season and now where they all are now. And it's incredible how much everyone has improved. And SF2 is just like, all of these SF2 drivers can go into a top split pub race, and I'm for certain place well. They may not be podium, or maybe they will be one time or here and there, but they're all going to place well and hold their own, and that just shows a lot about the league and what it teaches and what's available for everyone out there.
Well, I like it. It's fun to see these guys drive, and it kind of gives you, it's to me, it's like watching AAA baseball or AHL hockey or something like that. It kind of gives you folks to root for when you go over into the Skippy Formula One races. So I know I don't have favorites, obviously. I love everyone, but hopefully it gives everybody out there some to root for. And thanks you guys again for joining me in the booth. Especially Peter joined me multiple times all season long. It just makes the whole experience a lot more enjoyable for literally everyone. But yeah, thank you to Michael for coming out and giving your expertise and experience as well tonight. Makes everything just a little bit better, so we do appreciate that. We're gonna let you guys go and get warmed up for the Skippy Formula One race. We don't want you to miss out on that, and we will see everybody back here in roughly 10-15 minutes. I'll put up the timer here shortly. We'll see everybody around. welcome back once again. We are here ready to do the Skippy Formula 1 race back at virtual Long Beach after a very exciting Skippy Formula 2 race for the season finale. I am joined once again by Michael McLeod, who will not be racing. He is joining us in the broadcast booth for this race as well. Welcome back, Michael.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun. I gotta say, it's a lot less stressful than racing.
Yes, yeah, I don't think anybody can argue with that for sure. Pull up, put your feet up, enjoy a good race, and chat about it. Pete will be joining us here in just a little bit, but he's a bit behind, so no worries there. For Pete, while we wait though, let's check out your starting grid for tonight's race, and then we can maybe look at the stats one more time. Jason Bice starts on pole. I don't
Oh,
want to say that's
wow.
his first one because we've been doing this for 6 seasons now, but a fantastic time, man. Jason really feeling himself tonight. Outside pole, Joshua Dancy, who's sitting third in points, as we mentioned in the YouTube chat. And we'll scroll through the rest. We've got 37 drivers who are on the grid this evening, which is going to make things super, super interesting. Now, we saw some mayhem in the first race, if I may call it that, with a third of the drivers that you're going to see here tonight. So, Michael, going into a race like this with this many drivers and that small of a course, what are your thoughts about those first couple laps?
Oh, I'd have to say the first lap is gonna be the key lap. If you can survive the first lap, first 2-3 laps, then you're gonna position yourself for the end very very decently. I would say, let me pull up the track map. I believe it is turn 5 and turn 8 are going to be cause for chaos on this track, in my opinion. Turn 5, you got a bunch of bumps as you're exiting that corner. You're sort of cresting, and so it could potentially be spin city. And then on turn 8, in the braking zone and turn in while you're trail braking is just all bumps. And so look for cars potentially losing it there and creating chaos for all the cars behind. And so it's going to be very interesting to see where in the pack, if it does happen, maybe they all stay straight. But where in the pack, if it does happen, where does that happen, and how does it affect the rest of them behind? And so yeah, it'll be an interesting race.
All right, we've got Team Dancy checking in. We're all rooting for Joshua tonight. Third in the points. His closest competition not there. Let's bring up the stats again here real quick. Now, granted, these are provisional here. Drop weeks are included, so it's not an exact science, but you can see Dancy there tied with Edwin Viorino. Edwin, I am not seeing on the grid tonight, so there's some good spots there. However, you look back, Aaron Law only 7 spots behind him. Jeremy Grandin 6 spots behind him. We got single digits separating all the way down through. Wow, Scott Bell there in 14th. I mean, there's a lot that can happen with 37 cars on the grid. I'm just gonna say, like, that's a lot of points out there still available for tonight's race, and you can make great use of that, especially at a track like this where literally anything can happen.
Yeah, a lot of positions can be gained or lost. All in this race with anything that could happen. All of a sudden one person hits a wall and it could either make like 3 positions in the entire standings off that or lose 3. So yeah, it's going to be a great race. Very exciting. I can't wait.
You can see Jason and Jeffrey giving some last minute instructions and advice to the drivers, as they always do. Going over some track specific rules that they may have, and just generally reminding everybody about our league mentality and taking it easy out there. It's going to be tough because tempers are going to fly. I have no doubt at a track like this. So, any other big story through lines? I don't think so. You saw some of the Skippy Formula 2 drivers who will be joining us tonight. I do see some new names for anybody who watches regularly. We'll see some new drivers here, so we'll try to give them a shout out and some time there. Recognize them.
I
And
think I've seen Kyle McCormick before, or Charlie, or Neil Sharma.
Neil
Is he
Sharma,
new?
yeah. This will be his first race with us.
And I think there's a few others.
And this may be Joshua Fitz-Johnson's last race with us, at least for a moment. Based on the Discord, he was accepted. He's got school going on. I'm trying to pull it up here now so I don't butcher it, but basically he's becoming a professor and very very obviously very smart dude. So that's going to be a time drain for him, and this is very sad for us that we don't get to race with him and have him up in the booth at least for the foreseeable future. But we wish him the best of luck, and we hope to see him back here shortly.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sad to see the fridge go. I always liked that, you know, having him in the booth here and listening to the broadcast after and seeing him on the track is always one of the good guys out there. Everyone's a good guy out here, but he's
Yes.
just, you know, he's just the fridge, you know. You can't compare
Some
to the
are
fridge.
head above, right? Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yep. Yeah. Question out there: 51% max fuel. This will be a 1 fuel stop race, and it looks like we are getting ready to roll here at Long Beach. You can see the drivers. Did I? Okay. Textures weren't loading there. A lot of plain white race cars. Looks like everything's starting to come in though. So let's take a look. Jason Bice on the front row in a very sleek looking there. Joshua Dancy on the outside pole, and we are about to go green here. Nice overcast day too. I wonder what I didn't check to see what the weather was. Maybe potentially a cooler track with that being the case.
I see 23 degrees and extremely cloudy, so I don't know if that's the California way.
There, yeah, there you go. So, your eyes there on Barney the Flagman. The lights are about to go out. Green flag's about to drop.
Here we go, green, green, green. I already have some zigging and zagging down the line, so let's see how this turns out coming into turn 1. Here they come. They're about to hit the braking zone, and so I see them 3 wide, and keeping it squeaky clean so far.
This fountain's tough. Tough section.
Oh, and here's a spin. And and now everyone's continued. They towed appropriately to get out of the way. The rest of the pack then continued. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want to see.
It does look like there was one. So Jake Ashe and Sammy Bridges, so 2 drivers who had to jump to the pits there. Actually, no, Brian Perez also jumped to the pits. So we'll see. Boy, we might have missed something there. I'm seeing a lot of red here all of a sudden. Not 100% sure what happened, but at least 3 drivers in the pits right now.
Main pack's going down the back straight. Been keeping it clean. This great. Wow, this great racing. Everyone's got their head on a swivel, and it looks like it's working. I'm now curious if that pack that was way in the back that had to slow down around the fountain will be able to catch up to the main pack. I guess only time will tell.
Alright, well, that was your cranking up for tonight. We'll bring up all the race information so everybody can see what is going on. Oops, not me. Yeah. Keywords. Confusing. Whatever works. There we go.
So we got Jason Bice, who's still in the lead, too. The pressure's not getting to him, it looks like. He's holding his own up there. He's hitting all his braking points, turning points, apex, everything. And he's leading the field right now. He's actually even got a pack of 5 here that's pulling away. And, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. They were able to put a little space in between them and Mike Bowers, who's Got the reins right now of P6 and
With
there's
Decker
just
direct behind.
Yep, yeah, there you go. So a bunch of fast drivers here. Joshua Johnson behind them, and that is a good question. What did happen to Aaron? Now we got whoa, we got something. Speaking of Aaron Law, I think we may have just done a broadcaster's curse there.
Oh. It looked like minimal damage coming out of that at least, but if anyone pits early from that, they may have to do a second.
Well, let's take a look. I mean, I got a whole slew of notifications here about wreck. Okay, this is JR Hoops. Oh, just a little bit of a backup there. There you see where we were looking at Aaron Law getting into just a little bit of a slow up for everybody.
It'll be hard to try and mention everyone here with so many, but wow, well, we're gonna do our best, eh? And I think Pete has now joined us in the broadcast booth here, if his mic is on.
I sure have. Evening, gentlemen.
Hey,
Good evening.
how's it going?
It's going. We're back up.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I don't know if you've been watching, but it's been relatively clean, but there's a couple accidents that there have been. I can't even look at that around the hairpin again. It's the same. Oh, Dan Pagowski's around. Looks like that might be an issue. You can see him there, car focused. Yep, now he's gonna jump back to the pit. So it looks like right now, at least, that hairpin has created the most amount of issues with just nose to tail contact. So I think our limit is gonna jump way up, or not the limit, but the count is gonna jump way up.
I'm gonna have to blame the lack of steering angle or ratio, wherever it is on the Skippy. You can't. It's hard to get that sometimes if you don't get in at the right angle. But wow. I'm looking at Mike Bowers here with Jeffrey Decker in tow and a pack behind him, and it looks like Mike Bowers is actually beginning to close that gap to that front lead pack of Jason, Bice, Carl Dronke, Joshua Dancy, Eric, and Scott. So this is going to be one tight field from first to maybe even 10th.
Yeah, no, when you've got Mike Bars and Jeffrey Decker together, that's definitely a threat to reel anybody in. The smallest mistake up front, the smallest miscommunication will allow that gap to close up and make this a mega pack for the lead. So they've got a little bit of a pack, a little bit of a gap between them for now, but certainly still in it. Just the smallest little misstep, and these two front packs are going to come together.
3, 2.
And nice to see the fridge in that second pack as well. For those that may have not been around the Discord, he is, this may be his last showing of Sunday Night Skip because he is going in for, I believe, his Masters for teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in him trying to better himself. It's going to affect me personally.
Yeah, who does that?
Yeah, I understand he thinks that he's going for the betterment of everyone overall, being able to impart wisdom and everything, but I think he seriously discounts the emotional value of entertainment every week. I question his choices here.
So,
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt here. I'm going to ride along board with Joshua Dancy, who we were watching. Carl Dronke ahead of him. Oh, man. So Carl, I don't know what happened to Carl there. He got it into the wall, and there was nowhere for Dancy to go. He doesn't really lose anything, but
And now, just like we talked, that little mistake. Take a look at this now. We got a 6-7 car mega lead pack now. That was just enough. Everyone has grouped up.
It's definitely given Jason some breathing room way up there. He doesn't have too much to worry about. He can just put his head down and just go for it, corner after corner, and that's, you know. So that's good for him too.
Yeah, now there's still plenty that can, spice up the evening from up front there, especially when you get into backmarker traffic here. It's very difficult to yield if you get caught at the wrong spot. So I don't know that I'd quite give it to Jason to run away with it yet. You know, it's a good look, but it's early days.
Long,
See-
long race.
Oh, that's for sure.
Well, so we've got, you can look there. You saw Dancy get into the wing. Doesn't look any worse for the wear, but obviously you got the nose cone just a little crumpled up. Looking back from Mike Bauer's gearbox, and we got to be able to fast repair that. It doesn't look like he's hurting too much from that impact, and he can maintain contact there with Mike Bauer's and get pulled up there to Scott Bell.
And also to add is to Jason being way up there, he has the Eric in tow, not too far back, so he obviously still has a lot to worry about with who's behind him.
Yeah, if I know Jason, he's got his eye on that relative gap, and he will until the last lap. He knows anything can go wrong here. Sitting in the steward's booth, you come to understand literally anything can happen.
Oh yeah. I just gotta point out Sean Tretiak up into 9th place, doing really well, and now he's up, getting closer to that lead pack. So let's see where he goes with this. Spencer Clark, also 10th, doing really well for himself.
He's got Steve Dewar right behind him, and they have 2.4 seconds up to Sean. Both of these guys are very fast drivers, so hopefully Sean's not driving his rearview mirror, but he's hoping to make contact shortly with Joshua Fitz-Johnson just ahead of them.
It looks like Steve Dewar's helmet is an Iron Man helmet.
Yes, indeed.
I like that.
Well, there we go. Let's look at the, let's bring up the sector times. Get a little more granularity on the detail here about how Jason is, there we go. So, Eric Lamoureux only slightly faster than Jason right now. 2.8 seconds is the gap. But looks like Eric's doing his best to try to catch back up.
And there's a couple of interesting tidbits that we can look at here. If Bell's able to close that 1 second gap and get up with Eric, Bice is out there running in clean air, right? So that means no fuel saving at all. And that could be, a half a second in some cases if you spend enough time at full speed. I'm not sure exactly what the hit is on this track, but that could be a full second right there. So if these guys can stay within a couple seconds before that fuel exchange, then you're basically, one mistake and some fuel saving away from making contact.
For sure. If Scott Bell can gain some fuel savings, leapfrog Eric, and then they all of a sudden have contact with Jason, it's a race.
Looks like Jason was able to get around Jake. He got caught at a really good time, so he was able to yield without losing too much, if any, pace getting around him there. It'll be interesting because I think Eric and Scott might actually get a really strong sling off of Jake, but we'll see how it shakes out. I've got a hunch that the graphic is going to be a deciding factor in whether or not this front pack is able to group up again.
So Pete, if you were Jeffrey Decker here in 6th place, where are you thinking?
Probably fuel saving, right? So we're trying to increase our odds to get the best possible jump on track position after that fuel stop, right? I mean, the chances of pulling the whole pack from 6 and reeling in Jason Bice, not real great, right? So we want to keep the velocity of the pack up, and I want to gain as much time on Jason as I can in the pits, right? So if I have to bring the whole pack with me, which means I'm not fighting them, I'm trying to facilitate the whole pack getting together, that's fine. I want Jason. I want that P1. I want to crack at it, even if I have to take the field with me.
For sure. It looks like he's lost Mike Bowers, and now has Joshua Dancy between them. So this is going to be an interesting race for everyone. Sorry.
Well, we were talking about Sean Trediak earlier. Look at that. Spencer Clark, Steve Dewar basically making contact at this point. Although there's, I guess, a bit of a gap back to Steve. But John going to have to play defensive here, or...
I'm almost wondering if Jake here is going to help them get contact with the group ahead.
It looks like Sean and Spencer might be getting a little bit racy here. Just kind of noticing them sitting with their track position. We saw Spencer really have a fantastic race last time out, you know, being really calculated, really patient, really consistent. And I believe Sean was up in that pack as well, if I remember correctly. So this is another group I'm kind of keeping an eye on. You can see Spencer just kind of taking a look, not super aggressive, but lining up just a little bit offset. I'm expecting he might go ahead and come around sooner than later. And sure enough, there he goes.
Another race that's really heating up. 4 cars, it looks like all within 0.3 of each other, is Jeremy Grandin, Andrew Cole, Ray, and Raphael. They're really, really tight.
Is that Ray rocking the caution paint scheme there?
I think he was going for eyesore right there.
Yeah, we got Jack Moffitt in the back of that group too, not to be ruled out. You know, he's one where you can definitely see when he decides it's go time, he'll start mixing it up and really force the issue.
Got the Scion Kitty cheering him on.
That's what happened to Chris Stewart. We saw him there slow on the track, or stopped on the track. He has jumped to the pits. Jeffrey Decker into pit road.
Yeah, so with 24 and a half minutes to go, this should be about right. We'll start seeing those early takers. Now, it'll be interesting to see who decides to try and stay all the way out.
Ooh.
We got a
Jack Moffitt hit the wall.
little bit of a free smoke and light show. For the viewers.
Yeah, we're really putting that smoke model to the test here tonight. So
Yeah, there's
Decker,
bunch
Moffitt,
of people.
Hopeful, Peter Lee. Yeah. So yeah, it's a little bit of a waterfall approach here. Under the leaders are going to do 2.6 seconds. So last time we checked in here, 0.8 seconds. So yeah, Chris Herrera pointing out he's kind of starting to walk him down. Not super fast, but definitely trending that direction.
Right, and again, in Eric's position, I think really it's about just trying to make sure you don't lose ground, right? You know you need to get a little bit lucky. We need to have Jason get hung up a little bit if we're in that position. You get him hung up on a back mark or something where he loses a little bit of time, and then you need to kill that pit stop, right? That's kind of the only hope here. So it's not necessarily about trying to push and get 10 tenths and extract every last bit of performance from the car. It's about trying to be in best position you can to make contact after that pit stop, which means being safe and consistent and not using any more fuel than you have to.
It looks like everyone that's behind him is also cooperating and wants to really challenge that P1. I don't see any battling here, which is it's going to definitely work in Eric's favor. And I see the lap times. Eric's just slightly quicker every lap by about 0.3, 0.4 seconds. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Now, looking at we've got on the stream chat, Mr. Herrera chiming in. Lamoureux is in the same position as Bice right now. as far as fuel savings, right? He's running out on his own. He's in clean air. He is going to take the hit on the pit stop. However, if I'm in that position, that's still worth it to me. I'd rather drop back 3-4 positions in the pit stop in a chain if it means that whole train get to crack at P1, right? I'll bring everybody with me. I don't care. And then I'll go full attack mode the second half.
Yeah, for sure, because if he was to pit now and end up in a pack that would slow his pace, then he's for sure out of the running.
Yeah, so now if it ends up being something where he has to drop back behind Dancy, but it means that all 4 of them, are able to get within 1 second of Jason, totally worth it.
Well, Lamro under a little bit of pressure here. Scott Bell just really sticking it to the gearbox, and Mike Bowers was there, but he dips into pit road along with Jason Weiss. So Scott Bell, Eric Lamro, Joshua Dancy, all on a different fuel strategy now. So there you go.
I think I have it calculated out. About 16 laps is the maximum that they can go on a tank of fuel. 17 if they can get themselves nice draft laps. So let's see who's willing to push it to 17 and who's willing to push it to 16.
We should have Jason exiting the pits very shortly here. And it looks like we've got a race out of the pits. Mike Barr's got him.
Wow.
Mike Barr's actually beating him out of the pit lane. We're having a drag race through pit exit.
That's the
absolutely
slowest
made that
race.
fuel strategy work.
Look at and it's all based on the fuel savings. And sometimes being P1 doesn't pay off.
Now watch this. Now they're coming out with a slightly slower pack, which means they're going to lose a few fractions of a second just making their way through. It's just sort of the nature of the beast. I'm willing to bet that's going to be enough for the rest of this pack to make contact when they go through their pit strategy. I'll be very surprised if we don't have at least another 1 or 2 cars in this front pack.
Now, are these cars around them lapped cars or on the same lap?
This is for
So they
position.
haven't pit. Yeah, so it is for position, but they haven't gone on for the pits yet. And really the story is the pace, right?
For sure.
So it's enough to slow down those front 2, which means when the rest of the people that had already done their pit cycle come through, if they get a little luckier with the traffic, that's going to be enough to close the gap.
For sure. If their pace is now not up to lead pack pace, they may now be behind. Yeah.
Nancy into pit road. Brandon as well.
Well, let's see where they come out. This is becoming one fascinating race. I see Ray's coming into the pits with some damage as well. And also, there's someone in pits without a front wheel. I don't know.
Oh no, Peter Lee and Rich Butler, they have crashed, so unfortunate. Maybe we'll go back and check that out, but I don't want to bring up any, sometimes it's tough to watch, but Lee looks like he has also crashed. Alright, so, I mean, 2 cars under a blanket here for the lead. The gap to Bowers now is 41 seconds. And look at that, Dancy out ahead of Weiss.
Wow. Now I'm starting to worry. I gave Jason here the broadcaster curse.
Look at that clean car now. He's got the fast repair, Dancy. So add him right down pit road from 3rd position.
Well, now Decker is directly behind Weiss.
Yeah, Decker got some really good luck with the back markers. Got a couple of good slings. Had some folks that were able to yield at really good positions. So he was able to make some good progress. This is still pretty much up in the air. I'm not sure exactly who we give this to yet until we get all the way through all the cycles.
Yeah, this is why I love the 1 pit stops, because it adds. I know there's great strategies with 2 pit stops. The 1 stops, it's so interesting because you have to totally manage your pace with where you end up in the pack when you come out, and it's just a very different ball game to play.
See where Adam Wright comes out here too. It looks like he's going to be just behind that lead pack. Oh boy, yep.
That's one scary helmet he's got.
The power of the scary helmet. Don't underestimate it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, back up with the leaders here as they go around the hairpin. Maybe they'll pit, maybe they won't. Does Scott Bell go with him? Does he not? I don't know how far you can go. Or
I don't think they
one more
might.
round.
Are they pulling up to Rusty, and how's that going to work? And so. And now here's Kyle McCormick, another blue flag car that could add some interesting mixture here.
Real quick, just checking in with Bison Decker battle for this lap at least. It looks like the trio of Bice, Dancy, and Bowers starting to pull away a little bit from Decker.
Yeah, I mean that's a relatively small gap, though, right? And as soon as they start fighting, and they will, right? It's not going to take too much for them to.
They'll probably just figure it out.
They'll figure it out, yeah. Out on the track.
Now, what's interesting is I don't think I've seen Scott Bell move past Eric yet, which means Scott's probably sitting on a lot more fuel than Eric. I think Eric has been in clean air the entire race, right? Unless I've been missing something. I think he's just been.
I guess we're gonna find out.
Position. Yeah.
We're gonna
Should
find
be
out
this
right
lap
here.
or next lap. Yeah.
It's either this lap or next. Let's see what happens. What's he do? And
Yep,
he's
there
going
goes
for
Eric
it.
stucking in.
Scott is
Scott's
not.
staying out, which
And
is not a
Scott's
huge surprise, right? I think Scott's got the fuel. I'm willing to bet Eric had to pit, and Scott had the extra lap of fuel just from sitting behind Eric that whole time. Now, this is a raw deal for Eric. We were talking about, it's no problem at all to go ahead and break the break the clean air, and pull the pack along. But if the whole pack left you, right, and it's one thing to drop back 4 or 5 positions and have that crack at P1. It's another when they're just totally gone, and I'm not sure which just happened. We'll find out in a few seconds.
Yeah.
Scott having some interesting times with the traffic there. He's
Yeah.
able to make his way around Dmitry Korblov, which also plays into all this, obviously, like we talked about before. So.
We can only hope for Scott that he didn't lose 0.5 or even 1 second off of that, because if he did, it would totally change everything. Half a second is huge in this moment.
Well, there you see Mike Bowers at
And look at where Eric's coming out.
Yeah.
What just happened here?
Wow. Short fuel to the max.
Yeah, now that's a question. Did he really just cut the fuel tight, or have we just been discounting Eric and he's had the crazy pace and nobody noticed? Because he's, I was expecting him to have to be struggling to catch back onto Jason, having to run in clean air that whole race. But sure enough, he's vaulted into the front. Now, unfortunately for Scott Bell, I think he may have just took a raw gamble, right? He decided to try and get through on clean air. He got a little hung up on backmarker traffic again. I think that's going to hurt him a little bit, but not so much that he's not going to be able to come out with the rest of the pack.
For sure.
He was able to save fuel that whole time behind Eric, so I think he's going to be right up in the thick of it. I think we have ourselves a proper Sunday night Skippy knife fight for the last race of the season.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm predicting 6 cars on those last few laps altogether.
Well, Lemro just exited the hairpin. There's Scott Bell working his
They're all
way
right with
off.
him. How long do they want to keep it clean until they start going at each other? Let's see.
Yeah, see now if you're a driver on the pack, maybe you're not looking at all the intervals like we are here. At this point, and it looks like Bell getting a great jump back into traffic. He's firmly in with this pack.
Oh, he's
at this
ahead.
point.
Oh,
And he's ahead.
How about that? Yeah, and I think that's that massive fuel saving just sitting behind Eric that whole time. So even getting held up with traffic didn't offset, how much more he was able to get in that fuel tank. So at this point, if you're anywhere in this pack, and especially, you got Decker back there nipping at your heels, you basically know Decker's going to catch you, right? Because we're not going to keep the gloves on the whole time. At this point, I put on my drunkie hat, and the gloves come off, right? And the teeth come out, because I want to be near the front of this pack. Because when something happens that causes a little bit of a separation, I want to be ahead of it, right? If the third and fourth car in this pack start getting into it, cause a little bit of separation, I don't want to be there. I want to be ahead of it. I'm going to start forcing the issue. I'm willing to bet some of the other guys are of similar mind.
Yeah, and it's interesting because also activating that kind of racecraft and fighting for it, you could also be the person creating that gap too, and it's a gamble both ways, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a little bit more high risk, high reward, but when you've got this big of a pack, last race of the season, that's an acceptable trade-off. In the front of this pack.
Full send.
I'm going to bring up the pit times next to the gap there so everybody can just draw their own conclusions about the amount of fuel everybody took. It does look like Lamro had clean shoot. Bell was 12.6 seconds, Lamro 14.4.
Well, Bell also needs 1 lap less of fuel, so that's going to help him too.
Lindsay at 12.8. Mason 16.9. Clearly the longest of the crew there.
That's what we were talking about, where the whole game was just staying in striking distance of the bikes, because you lose so much just hanging out in that clean air. Of course, then Eric, just kind of throws the Edwin Valerno pants on head fueling logic in there, where it just makes no sense. Like, I don't understand how that works.
And you know what? He may benefit from this because he's now got a draft.
Yeah, and that's the gamble when you're going to short fuel, right? The whole gamble is, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut it so close that I'm probably not going to finish if I don't get the draft. If I do get the draft, I can hang back and hook a couple laps and attack.
But if I do get, yeah.
If you don't, you're in trouble. You're going to end up, coasting around half that last lap. And it looks like Decker has firmly made contact at this point. So
yeah, he's there.
There's those 6 cars.
We officially have a 6-car knife fight. I don't know who you guys prefer, Sharks or Jets, but I'm staying with Sharks.
And here it begins, right here for the lead. Let's see, they're going into turn 1, side by side. Oh, here comes the braking zone. Does he give him the position? He gives him the position.
Yeah, Lamro's going to out-brake him there, but yeah, Scott not in a real position there to... Oh, boy, man, Bowers and Dancy almost made contact.
Now Bowers is willing to take his poke at it.
And I'm really surprised to see Lamro jump out in front here, because again, he has got to be so tight on fuel. I would be trying to sit back and second or third if I'm tight on fuel. Like, I don't want to be forced up front here, right? I'm really intrigued to see that he was willing to attack and try to go up for the front.
He must know something that we don't know.
Honestly, I joke about it, but I am starting to think that maybe there's, something else to learn about the fuel saving here, because we have had a couple guys, Ed one we make that joke about, but seriously.
And here's Mike Bowers for the pass going on the inside in the braking. Too wide. And holding it to the inside through the hairpin.
Yeah, and that was a good call on Bell's part there. At that point, you're going to get dropped. So you gotta let him go. You don't want to lose Eric here.
And I think
maybe this was the master strat. Yeah, maybe this was the master strat with Eric. Just try and break away.
Yeah, they now have 1.2 seconds gap, and if there's any more battling that happens, now they have a lapped car coming into the mix here.
Oh man, it's tight through that section too. Weiss trying to get around.
Well, that just turns the race on its head right there, doesn't it? So if these guys don't cooperate, this is a pack for second.
Yeah.
And Eric, again, with that fuel, I don't know. If he's got the fuel to make it, this is a fantastic place to be in, because these guys behind him are running out of time. Less than 8 minutes to go. They don't have time to be waiting and cooperating.
They're running out of time in their hemorrhaging time. Holy crap.
Right. Yeah, that 2.5 seconds in a half a lap, that might have just been a stroke of genius for Eric. going ahead, going in aggressive right away, just knowing that the pack was about to get real bitey.
Yeah, Petey must be listening to you.
Crazy.
Because yeah, if they choose to not cooperate, they've completely lost him. And I think by pace, just pace-wise alone. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know that it matters. I mean, they have lost him, right? 'Cause Eric was leading, matching and exceeding pace with Jason Bice, who were out in front. If this went on for another 20 minutes and we didn't have the race end coming up, they would still be hard pressed to catch him without a fuel stop to work on pit strategy. He's gone.
I actually would agree. I'm looking at the Mike Bauer's lap times are 132s, whereas Eric's are consistent 131s. I don't think it's going to last long until the gloves come off with these last 5 cars back here.
Yeah, now what that means with these guys is I think at this point, most of these drivers are going to accept that this is a battle for P2. Let's do it.
We might be there. We might be there. Real quick, before I forget, I wanted to make sure that I wanted to get this in. Sean Critic said he's got a message on his car. Fall down 7 times, stand up 8. I love this trend that we're seeing of guys putting some stuff on their I don't know what would you call that piece of the car there, basically the just below the or above the wheel.
Right.
And just as a little reminder to themselves of Scott Bell's is Send It. I forgot who else.
These guys, that's it. It's on. We're seeing everybody going for the over unders, 2 wides. This is it. This is the race for the second position, last round of the season. Gloves are fully off, and we've actually still got a 6-car pack, possibly going to be 7 the way this is going down. Rusty Pottenberg not too far back from Joshua Dante. If I had to put money on it, I would guess he's probably going to catch up the way these guys are going at each other. I think we're going to see some fireworks.
We're about 3 turns away from seeing a 4-second gap for Eric, so yeah.
Ooh, now they're going too wide.
Ooh,
Fountain,
Jason's going to
too
sneak
wide.
in. He's going to take advantage of that.
Oh, bump!
Oh, no!
Oh, they made
no!
contact!
Oh no!
Whoa! Jason Bice and Scott Bell.
Such a good race for Scott Bell. I'm so sad to see that. He was doing so well for himself.
Try to take
And
one more
Jason
look.
as well. Jason was just absolutely slaying it out there.
And that's looking like a massive netcode incident as well. Just looking at that in very slow motion from up above. There was quite a bit of distance between him and Scott Bell when the contact was made, at least on the race stream.
I think we were talking in the Discord about all the netcode around that fountain, and it just came to haunt them right here.
Sure enough, yeah, we looked on the onboard there on the roll bar, and I could see. I mean, it was close racing for sure, but you could forgive them for thinking they had a few more inches at least on each other before.
I don't think they could put that on either driver. I don't think anyone was getting squeezed. I didn't see Bell come out too far. A little bit armchair stewarding here, but nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Immediately at that first glance, nothing looked too crazy there.
It was tight, but they did not touch.
Right. Yeah. That should not have happened on virtue of where the drivers put the cars. That should have been fair racing.
Little I'm sure consolation to them at the moment, but.
And fortunately for Jeffrey Decker, he's now in 3rd, which is from a not very good qualifying. I watched his qualifying, and he had a great first lap in his qualifying, and the rest he pooched them, to be honest. And so he's been doing really well in this race, just to stay patient, and it's rewarded him very well to be now in 3rd.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping Eric jumps in here after this because he's still absolutely running away with this. Doesn't seem to have any concerns with fueling at all. Normally, with just a couple of laps to go, we'd start seeing a lot of big lifts, some earlier braking points and start to fall off a little bit if there's a concern with fuel. And it looks like he is just cruising, full pace. So I think he's got the groove. I think he absolutely nailed the pit stop, and I think he's just cruising for the win here.
Oh wow, and you've even got Adam Wright up here in 5th place. He started at 12th on the grid, and now he's all the way up to 5th. What a good run.
Is that Adam Wright's best position? I don't know that. I think that might be his best finish in Sunday Night Skippy. I'd have to go to the stats. But
And now you've
it's a
got
fantastic place for him.
yeah, 12th to 5th. Wow, good job. And then you got Joshua the Fridge up into 6th, and let's see if he tries to battle. Yeah, tries to battle for a top 5 or not.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a competitor. So I think early in the season he was actually kind of working on that aggression as well. So I imagine if he makes any contact here, I would fully expect him to go for it.
His best finish is 4th at Bathurst this season.
All right.
But yeah, another driver who, a season, 2 seasons ago was, I don't know, mid-pack-ish, but single-digit finishes now. Top 10s for Adam Wright. So
yeah, he's definitely one of those guys. Used to joke with Herrera as the first guy. That kind of made that joke with. Now it's become a really cool trend. Where they used to become just sort of a problem on the track, right? Sort of a challenge to get around, and now they're like a problem.
Well, we know you
like
love
how I have to
problems.
deal with them,
problem versus a problem.
Yeah, and that's fantastic to see. That's kind of the whole point of this league.
I'm hoping next season, I'm not gonna lie, that I can be a problem. We'll have to see what happens.
Well, as we kick past 39.5 minutes here, I'm going to break up the interval because at this point, I think that those battles for position are going to be the most important thing. Storyline of the night, not necessarily the lead, or I guess the position relative to the lead. So you can see there, Adam Wright, Joshua Fitz-Johnson having a good battle, and up here in 10th, Aaron Law and Jeff Torbeck, who we haven't talked about tonight, but another driver has been with us for quite a while, and really.
Now I was actually watching. I was actually watching Law and Torbeck as you kind of came up on him. Torbeck's been closing up this gap quite a bit with this last lap here. I don't know. He might have something for Aaron Law, but by the time we get around to this last hairpin, he has been able to close up a little bit here.
I think either way, these guys are going to walk away tonight feeling very satisfied. Jeff Torbeck up 11 spots, Aaron Law up 10 little spots. So a very, very fantastic night. Of course, you always want, there's just something about a top 5, a top 10,
And here's Eric coming across the line. I think.
Torbeck low on fuel, I imagine. Or he managed to get a slowdown. He's having to let everyone by.
And we got the winner. We were sleeping.
Oh shit, we forgot all about who was in the lead. Eric has now just passed
some good battles
the finish
going on.
line
We
with,
just totally missed it. Well, let's see.
It was Jeffrey Decker in second, it looks like, I believe.
Mike Bowers, Jeffrey Decker, Joshua Dancy, Adam Wright, Joshua Fitz-Johnson. I think that's going to be the finishing order there. Yeah, Jeff Torbeck. Oh, the one time we focused on him, and he's. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Who do we got there?
Yep. Oh, there's sportsmanship right there. Look
Sportsmanship to the nth degree. I can't even tell who that is. Who is that?
That's Matt Shepka.
Shepka. Okay.
Shepka, using what's left of his car to get them across the line.
Across the line. Oh man, that's awesome.
If you've only got 3 wheels left, you put them to the best use you can before you bring it into the field.
Oh,
And if you had any worries about Eric and his fuel, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely nailed it. I didn't see any pace drop off at all. He found the sauce. Absolutely nailed it.
I guess we can assume that
I guess
Decker's gonna even though we got Eric Lamro with his first Sunday Night Skippy, I think, right? First Sunday Night Skippy victory. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll
Mini
work on a
podiums.
stat sheet for next season. Promise.
Yeah, first win, but I think Jeffrey Decker's, even with drop weeks, his lead just a little insurmountable. So congratulations to both those drivers. Certainly congratulations to Eric Lamoureux, but we'll give a provisional congratulations to Decker for the overall season champion. Which, if we've made this point once, we've made it a million times. A very, very tough thing to do.
Yeah, somehow we don't have anybody in the booth. I don't know if that's a very good or a very bad thing.
Yeah, exactly right. I think that's
Well,
I think there's going to be some very happy drivers and some not so happy drivers tonight. And that's understandable. This is a tough track. This is where we ended our season last season, and it was very stacked out with it. Says it's a great race. It was a fantastic race, but it's just one of those ones where people are going to walk away just feeling a little. I don't think there's
And
any
we do
getting
have Mike.
around it.
We do have Mike Bowers with us in the booth.
Oh, gotta unmute him, huh? That's
We got him muted.
Sorry. Go ahead. All right, so Mike Bowers, man, what a run for you tonight, buddy. You got second place overall. You showed an amazing amount of pace, and we're hanging out. The fuel strategies that played out were very interesting to us. I don't want to throw like 7 questions at you all at once. So you just how did it look from your perspective, how you saw it play out? Because you were clearly one of the fastest cars on the track. You guys came out in a pretty good position after the pit stops, but then it looked like the battling let Eric kind of walk away, who clearly had enough fuel to finish the race.
Well, I don't know where to start. I was just trying to be patient and save a bunch of fuel at the beginning and see how things unfolded up in front of me, because I knew people were going to bounce it off the wall and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, I finished that with a 0x.
wow.
Nice.
Okay, so my goal tonight was not to touch anybody or a thing, and to
It's a
use
good rule
more
of
patience
life.
than. Oh yeah, unless you're in stock cars, right?
Oh,
Then it doesn't matter.
Right.
But
Yeah, Robin's racing there, I guess.
yeah, if you don't hit anybody there, you're not in the race. But so anyway, I tried to be calm, and when I saw Jason go in, I was like, okay, I saved enough fuel. If we could go out together, Jason and I have worked really well together in the past, and I thought he would come out a little quicker. And I don't know, I took a little extra fuel, to be honest with you, because I thought I might end up running by myself for a little bit. And we ended up coming out, I came out ahead of him, and I just tried to cruise then, just hammer down as fast as I could. And I figured if I'm short on fuel, I'll save it later. And then it just kind of got a little interesting when Scott came out and Eric came out in front. I really didn't expect that to happen. I actually thought we were going to jump those guys a little bit. And when they came out, I wasn't going to pass Scott, but I saw him bounce off the walls a few times. And what's so weird about this place is you can 0x the walls and it doesn't hurt the car, although the car shows sparks all the way around every lap after that, which is kind of whack. So he kind of, got off pace for just a second. So I thought, okay, it damaged his car, so I got to go because I know how fast Eric was. And I went, and when we started battling, I was like, okay, we're racing for second. So I hope you had a good show.
Yeah, that's kind of what we saw. Once we had that issue in the fountain, we took a close look at that, and it looks like there's just some pretty funky net code. Right up to that point, we were definitely taking a look at that, be like, yep, the gloves are about to come off, and then they came off. That was a fantastic show for us.
Well, yeah, and then I don't know who it was, came out of the pit road, and we're 3 wide going into the fountain. I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna land in the fountain. I'm gonna drown in the last SNS race of the year. But to everybody's credit, Scott's a good driver. Jason's a good driver, so everybody did a pretty good job. And I tried to make sure I left enough room so that it was manageable. I didn't know that we were going to manage it, but it all worked out, at least for me. But it looks like they got tangled up a little bit there in the back. I don't know. I didn't have very good pace. I had okay pace on cold tires. I was pretty bummed about my qualifying because I'd ran a lot of 51s in qualifying with a 2-lap qualifying. And I don't know what I did there. I just craniorectitis again, I guess. But,
Give you a little credit.
coming.
The track was a little bit hotter than most of the pubs, so.
Yeah, it was hotter, but I figured my 4th lap I could do about a 51.70, and I wasn't even close, so I don't know what I was doing. But anyway, it was a good race. Congratulations to Jeffrey Decker, and if I'm not mistaken, that's Eric's first time, right? First win?
Yep.
That is awesome. And how about the patience from Decker tonight? He just was very cool, very calm, and comes in 3rd. So that's pretty cool.
He basically just avoided everything, it seemed like.
Well, which is a really tall task to do here. I've tried to avoid things here, and it seems like I end up in worse stuff. So my deal was go when you got to go and be patient when you need to be patient. Tried to use my brain, but which is hard because it's tiny.
And it's tough when you're out there racing and there's someone beside you wanting to pass. Like, wait, yeah.
Yeah, and Scott did a good job tonight. I think that's the most pace I've seen him bring. And I didn't know how much pace he had because I kind of knew how much pace Eric had, and he was drafting Eric for a long time. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to play out, but he definitely had solid pace, no doubt. And I felt like I was really quick once the tires got past 10 laps. I could cruise pretty good. So I don't know. I hope it was a good race, fun to watch, and I'm really excited for next season because frankly, my season pretty much sucked.
I was gonna say, man, by my count, this was your best race of the season and first podium. So I want to say congratulations. But I know we saw some heartbreaker incidents from you throughout the season. You know what I mean? It sucks to be part of the slow mo replays that we do. So
Yeah.
I was happy to see that the 0x for you, and kind of fall where your pace took you, which was a nice, refreshing change.
Well, and I kind of reset my mentality. I was so encouraged with all these races coming up through this season. I mean, I had some places where I had pace where I'd never had pace before, where I literally thought I was the fastest on the track. I thought I could even run with Pete in some of these places. So I want to see that when he gets back on the track, if I've gained anything or if I'm just living in dream world, which I'm probably dreaming a tick, but I don't know. I think when you have really good pace, you expect a lot out of yourself, and I think that's about the worst thing you can do is go in expecting to win or, expecting the podium. You know how that works.
I don't know. It usually works pretty well.
Oh, shush. We don't want to hear from you. We don't want to hear from you yet. You can sit in the booth and say all you want this season, buddy. No. Yeah, it does work for you, but you've got more than 6 brain cells left, and I do not. I'm racing with a 98 IQ. What's your excuse?
He's even tested himself to know.
Well, congratulations again on a fantastic end to the season, man. I hope the momentum carries through to season 7, week 1. But anybody want to say hi to? I hate to push you out, but I'm looking at this interview standby.
You gotta go.
Holy cow!
No, you gotta go, and I'm
People
excited to
gotta
hear
chat.
what Eric has to say.
Yeah,
But no, I just appreciate. I appreciate all you for putting on the broadcast, for Pete coming in and hanging out before he's ready and putting his 2 cents in, and thank my wife and kids for letting me be a dork. It's good to be a dork sometimes. So
never grow
appreciate
up.
y'all. Nope.
All right, man. Well, hey,
thanks, guys.
Well done. We'll see you maybe for week 13, hopefully, and otherwise, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
And congratulations on you too.
Thank you. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Mike Bowers there with a P2 finish. Man, this is going to be tough. We've got a bunch of people. You know what? I'm going to just bring in random, or based on random order here, but one person
bring them all in.
Oh, boy. Can you imagine? Pandemonium. We might do that at the end here.
It'd be the fountain in chat form.
It was one guy I definitely wanted to make sure we chatted about, or 2, I guess, because we mentioned it in both broadcasts. Joshua Fitz Johnson will be taking a sabbatical, if you will.
Yeah. Cool.
And we're gonna miss you, and you're a value-added person to the league for sure. And just want to say, really awesome race for you tonight, up 4 spots to 6th position. Hopefully it was a great result for you to kind of go out on a high note. And I would say go out because we hope to see you back. You know, people take breaks all the time and all that, so you know, we'll keep your seat warm for you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm not crying. You're crying. Yeah, dude, I'm super surprised with the result. P6 did not expect that coming in. I've had very limited seat time this week, so I'm super happy with that.
Well, this track suits you then, I'd say.
No, I hate it. I really hate it.
He's an honest man. That's what we got. That's
Hey,
what
you're
we're
good
looking
at
for.
something you hate. I don't know. That seems like the
But it's
universe
weird
is
because I
laughing
like
at you.
I really like Belle Isle, but I hate this, and they're pretty similar, right? But
Hmm.
I don't know. Something about the walls here and the weird corners. I don't know. Not for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the flow is pretty different here. You know, I was talking with Avery a little bit earlier
Yeah.
this week. You know, he's saying we love Bell, but it's just not feeling this track. And I was like, yeah, well, it's no Bell. Like it doesn't have the same flow.
Yeah, I feel like you're just chucking the car into every corner, and there's no rhythm to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, you kind of walk us through, you know, as you're working your way up through the pack, and that whole shuffle happened right around the fuel pit interval. You know, they got that really big change up, and you guys made up a pretty big gap. What was going through your head as you kind of saw how that was shaking out?
um, I just wanted to keep it clean. Literally, that's all I wanted to do this race.
Sure.
I think I was following Adam, and I went to the pits. I thought he was going to pit the same lap as me, but he didn't. He kept going, so I was pretty disappointed in him. And then when we came out together, he got in front of the traffic, and I was behind a little bit of traffic. But I've almost worked my way back to him. I reckon a few more laps would have had a bit of a race with Adam, but not meant to be. I don't know. I'm still like pitting and pit strategy is a mystery to me. I kind of just let JRT do the work, which, you know, Jeffrey was nice enough to help me figure it out. And it's been good.
Okay. So you've been working on the pit strategy lately, then?
Yeah, but for what reason? I'm not going to be using it anymore, so wasted my whole year subscription to JRT. Just real quick, I wanted to say thanks for the league. It's really good. I think Pete, I think you introduced me to the league.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Yeah, so blame him. Chris, Jason, you know, Walter, Jeffrey, you know, appreciate everything you guys do. It's like the quality of the league is insane, to be honest.
Glad you've enjoyed it. We certainly enjoyed having you here and watching you develop as a driver. Fantastic end to the season. Really strong finish. You know, wish you the best in your next challenge here, and we hope to see you back soon.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I'll still try to do the Friday night races and see everyone in pubs and stuff like that. So
Or maybe we can even have you for the broadcast still.
I wish. Monday mornings are hard for me now because this race is at 9:30 in the morning for me on a Monday morning.
Oh, on Monday. Oh.
So it's a bit rough. Anyway, you've got like 1,000 people to get to, so good to chat to you guys.
All right. Thanks, Josh. We will hopefully see you soon.
Hey, thanks, Pete. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, we're all gonna miss you, man.
Yeah,
Stay cool.
God, I'm gonna miss you guys. All my American friends, you know, so nice.
Does the toilet flush the other way? I'm just curious.
It does.
All
All
right. Thanks, Josh. All right, let's go ahead and bring in Scott Bell. See if we can get through our technical difficulty here. Hey, Scott, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. So walk us through your race tonight. That was a hell of a race. Now, I don't know if you've already taken a look at the replay yet, but you know, it looks like that fountain incident should have been. You know, it's early days. You know, I'm sure we'll be looking at that a lot closer this week in the steward booth. But you know, tell us at first blush that just looks like some tragedy with netcode, and that should have worked out fine. But other than that, you know, walk us through the night here.
Well, I mean, got lucky qualifying. I mean, wound up P4. But I've had good pace this week. I mean, Jeff can attest to that. I mean, we've done lots of pubs together, and it's just a matter of keeping it clean. You know, and just keep the nose down. Now I was surprised. Did you pitted pretty early, right? No, not Mike. I did. I think Mike pitted pretty early, and I was surprised by that. Like 3 or 4 laps early.
Yeah, we did have quite a bit of variation in the pit cadence. So that was really interesting to watch the pack kind of come together. We were curious to see, with Jason running out in clean air, if you guys were going to be able to make contact or not. We had noticed that you could kind of tuck behind Eric. Were you even able to run a lap later than him? Was that intentional fuel saving?
No, I was just going to go as far as I could. And since I was drafted, I maybe got a little more distance out of it. But when he went in, I still had 1.4, 1.5 laps left of fuel. So
Sure.
I said, screw it, I'm going for it. If I got open air, and then get to turn 1, turn 2, and I'm hitting back traffic, lap traffic, and slowing me down. But
yeah, we definitely noticed that. That's always a little bit of gamble to stay out that next lap, and unfortunately caught some folks at a bad place.
Right. But it was okay. I mean, it came in. The pit was fine. I still came out ahead, in P1 after the pit, so it was okay.
Right. Yeah, that's usually okay.
yeah, I could live with that. So yeah, and that was that, and it was a night fight after that.
Absolutely.
But I went through and I looked, and there was like almost 2 feet distance between me and Jason when the net code hit it. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was a tough one to watch. We were definitely excited to watch that 6-car knife fight, and looking at it from every angle, at least on my screen, that should have been a 6-car knife fight at the end.
Right, yeah, and well, if you're gonna go, too wide in the fountain, hopefully you can keep it clean, and I think we were, except for the net code.
Yep.
So there you go. That's the way it goes sometimes.
Definitely one of those unfortunate incidences for sure. It's just how was it feeling for you when you're out in the lead those few laps? What were you thinking at that point?
Well, for me, I'm not used to being up there. So, but the last few weeks I've been doing okay, so I didn't have nerves or anything. I was just focused, and it was fine. Just like running on Wednesday night or something, or Thursday night, or just the pub sometime, just going. And I was okay. I didn't overdrive it like I might typically, and I just kept my head down.
Yeah, definitely a hell of a race from start to finish.
So maybe next season I'll get one. We'll see.
Yeah, I think you've officially made my list for next season of problems.
I think your list is getting really big now.
It is. It's like half the damn field now.
Everybody's getting really good.
Really strong showing. Really strong showing tonight.
Yeah, thanks. Everybody's getting really good, really fast. So.
I gotta be honest. My heart was feeling for you. It felt a little broken after watching that incident. And I just hope that going into next season, you can keep up this pace and keep challenging up front there, because that's really great to watch, and I can't wait to get out on the racetrack with you too.
Yeah, we have to ask my wife and kids if it's okay to continue my neglectful ways and spending all my waking minutes.
I was gonna say big thanks to your wife and your family, who I know tune in and watch. So that participation and all that, I appreciate, just personally as me. I appreciate that, and it gives me definitely something to look at and talk about, and so I feel a connection there. But yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. You were always fast, but it's seeing you out there in the lead of this race, and really thinking like, God, Scott Bell's gonna win this, right? I'm trying to scroll through here. Somebody, I don't want to put it on anybody who didn't want it, but somebody predicted you for the win. There was yeah, and it wasn't your wife, so there you go. Yeah, man.
Somebody's been drinking, I guess.
It's the broadcast curse.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go. But yeah, all man. Right, well, man. Hey, congratulations on a fantastic season. We're looking forward to seeing you next in 2 weeks. Hopefully, you can join us for the week 13 stuff too, when I actually get to race and you guys can embarrass me. But either way,
there you go.
I understand the week off thing too. Sometimes it's good to just take a breather. So
yeah, there you go. Reintroduce myself to the family.
You're right. Yeah. Hey, it's me,
Oh,
your
I can
dad.
feel you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally feel you there.
All
Well,
right, man. Thanks, guys.
y'all have a good night.
You too.
Got Bell, good dude. All right, let's see. I'm getting an echo. Let's bring in Peter Lee. Peter Lee, who is my co-broadcaster for Skippy Formula 2. I guess our Michael is joining us tonight. And Peter, talk to us about the race tonight. Did the broadcast give you any insights? I know I was trying to look through here. I'm pretty sure that you got involved in an incident at some point.
Well, I had some close calls, but
Close calls. Okay.
I actually managed to avoid and ended up with a 0x run tonight.
Gotcha. Because you were by far the most, yep, there we go. By far the highest gainer of the evening, up 19 spots, up to P14. Holy
Yeah.
cow. 19 spots, guys. That's like
Oh,
more
wow.
than a lot of Skippy splits that I've been a part of.
What's that called? The lead charge or head? What was?
Yeah, the hard charger award right there.
Hard charger. Yep.
By
Well, part of that is, you get that if you screw up qualifying, which I did.
okay, fair.
I
But
say sandbagging.
yeah, I screwed up my third and fourth qualifying laps, and so I only had one good quality lap, so I qualified P34. But then a little bit of it is just luck and staying clean, and I got a little worried because in my second stint, my fuel calculator told me after a couple laps that I was not going to have enough to finish. And so, you end up, and I had a little bit of a draft partner for a little while, but for the most part, I was all out by myself. And so I ended up having to, coast or brake a little bit earlier, delay on throttle on the exits a little bit. And I managed to finish, I think, with just less than half a lap of fuel before I had to kind of park it. And so,
You're
but
selling me on this fuel calculator.
well, the fuel calculator was supposed to give me enough fuel in my pit stop, and it didn't. But I think in a track like this for the first stint, I was just in a ton of traffic, so I was probably getting draft help. And then after the pit stop, I was out by myself and just not as fuel efficient, and so I just had to manage it. And luckily, I could do that.
Now starting in the back there, was it P34? Did
Yep.
you have any strategy that you thought you were going to try and play out for this race in your head? Did you have anything that you had as a plan?
Well, yeah, watching the Wednesday and Friday night practice races, you see a lot of the incidents are on the exit of T1 on the first couple laps, and then also on the inside going around the fountain. And so, I tried to be super careful for the first couple of laps there. I kept it out wide outside line on T1, and then I really tried to keep wide going around the fountain. And in fact, I had a front row seat to a bunch of incidents, especially in that first lap, and that just staying out of it, I think, gave me maybe 4 positions. And then after that, it was just staying, just as steady as possible, and and working my way up the field.
Definitely, you gave us a front row show of how patience pays off here.
Well, when you don't have speed, patience is about all you got. So I try to use it.
Well, man, it's a good momentum builder going into next season. I know that obviously you'd prefer not to have not qualified well, but that I think confidence slash momentum builder to see that you can make it work. I know Pete's in the booth here, one of the masters of maybe not qualifying poorly, but certainly running into early race setbacks. We'll put it that way. And just being patient, putting your head down, and getting the laps in. And I think that was a nice little example of that tonight.
Well, yeah, at Sonoma last week, I had a pretty good finish too. I think I finished P17 or 16, something like that, and also a pretty strong, consistent race, and so I'm feeling pretty good. So hopefully I can keep that up. I had a horrible start to the season this year, and so maybe a little bit of good karma for the last 2 weeks. Oh, but
Well,
the real reason I'm here is actually not to talk about me, but Chris, since we were broadcasting so many SF2 races, I wanted to hang out until the SF2 season champ gets in the booth. So if you don't mind
yeah,
me hanging out
well, Rod,
until you get
you
to
know
that.
what? If you can convince him to come in here, he actually left the standby booth. I'm trying to chat with him on the
Ah,
Discord to get him back in there. But um,
well, let me
yeah,
work on that while you talk to others. How's that?
yeah. All right, well, all right. We'll get you a bit later. Let's bring in Joshua Dancy for right now, and unmute him. Um, Joshua Dancy, who finished fourth overall, down 2 spots overall, but still, I mean, fourth place position on the night. And you had a little bit, if I remember correctly, a little bit of nose damage that you had to deal with. I don't know that affected you all too much, like aerodynamically, obviously, but it's just another thing that you got to deal with as you're trying to secure your third place position overall in the standings. So, talk to me through what the race was like for you.
Very, very exciting. I'm not sure how much of like my race you caught, um, but I assume you guys caught Carl kind of tapping the wall and me getting into him.
That's what it was. Yeah, that was the crazy one.
It was terrifying. And if you watch, if you go back and watch Eric's review, Eric, I mean, the fact that he squeezed between me and the left side wall as I'm hitting Carl is amazing. I mean, that's got to be like the winning moment of the race right there.
ESN
Yeah,
turning
my
point.
understanding is that wall tap was a misshift from Jockey. He
Yeah.
actually caught a double downshift when he went down to first when he's planning to get down to second, and that's like ripping the handbrake, right? That just locks the rear tires, and things get real exciting real quick.
Yeah, especially in that corner because it's kind of it's not really off camber, but it's the way the road turns to the left. It's kind of downhill a little bit. So yeah, then later on in the race, you had Jason and Scott, I believe, get together,
Mhm.
and at one point, Scott's car was upside down on top of mine.
So
like in
he
the
gave me
air.
the heads up on that. So we're gonna review as we're talking here. Just so you know, I'm doing slow mo. You're on board for both Carl's. I'll do Eric's, and then I need to get that view of Scott clearing
Yeah, I
you
think it's lap
vertically.
23.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little terrifying. Like I was watching my inputs because it happened so quick. I wasn't really paying attention, obviously, and I floor it to the right, and right when he goes above me, that's when I finally realize like I'm gonna make it. So I have to slam on the brakes to make the corner. It's I don't know. I'm not sure I've ever had that happen in a race.
Yeah,
So-
we checked that out, and it's Bell does a complete cartwheel across the track and over you. I was just happened to notice. I'm like, wait, a car flew through there when I was looking at the replay. I can definitely, yeah, I puckered for you on your behalf. I might need some medical intervention to get out of the seat
Oh yeah.
after looking at that replay.
After all those breakdancing moves going on.
So through all of that, you still ended up fourth position, man. That is next level right there. I gotta say.
Yeah, it was I'm like it's a weird feeling. This was one of the first tracks I actually felt like I had pace. In World Cup today, I ran second for most of the race, so I knew I had a pretty decent pace. So it was weird. As happy as I am with the fourth, I think I could have got a little bit better had I, maybe put the foot down a little bit harder. But I'm completely happy with just finishing the race after some of that stuff.
Well, we'll see how the standings kind of split out after the drop weeks and all that. It's a little bit tough when you do drop weeks and it's a rolling, not average, but
Yeah.
per race. So we'll see what happens there. But presumably you're gonna end up here in third position, which is a heck of a season for you. And just like when you look back, what do you think about the season, and what are you hopeful for next season?
I'm thinking for the racing. I don't know. It's I love doing this. It's like the best part of my Sunday night, obviously. But I run 3 or 4 other leagues, and none of them come close to like the actual fun that this is. Some of them are maybe more competitive, but like on a night basis of how much fun I actually have, this is the most by far. Um, but third place is like a dream. Like I think in the beginning of the season, I definitely was just happy if I could get 10th. Like the highest I think I'd ever finished was like 16th or 17th. So getting top 10 would have been, more than the world for me.
What was the difference maker that had you like just all of a sudden propel to this level? What was it, the change, or what was it that you did?
I wish I could tell you. I like it's some of it's confidence. Like early in the season, I didn't really think I could run with some of the fast guys. Now I definitely think that I'm not quicker than them, but I might can hang out kind of there in that area. Um, but I mean, other than that, like I don't feel like I drive any differently. It's just the lap times are there and the pace is a little bit quicker. I'm not. All I can do is chuck it up to confidence, really.
Wow, okay.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, a heck of a run for you. I'm hoping that you can turn this into even more success in the future. I don't know exactly what that looks like because you're doing a hell of a job. But anybody you want to say hi to before we let you go?
Yeah, just thanks to my wife. She's on a plane right now, but whenever she watches this back, thanks to her and thanks to Steve and Jr. Steve, the most probably. Like I work the most with him. He spots for me in my other league races and everything. So it's probably the most to him for like the improvement slash just confidence boosting that he does. So, but that's about it. But and thank you to you guys, obviously, for the broadcast to give us something to watch, and it's always entertaining. So that's about
Awesome,
it.
man. Yeah, and I said this to Scott Bell too. I know your wife joins us very, very frequently every week, and it's awesome to have that connection with you guys, with your families, and I appreciate it. We appreciate it on our end as well. I'm certain it's not for us. I get that. It's so they can see their husbands, whatever, brothers, whoever's watching race, but it's really cool. It's a neat aspect to this that I don't get on anything else that we really do. It's a weird thing. We're racing people all over the world, and people's families and friends are watching. It's just a weird thing when you stop and think about it, but it's so cool.
Yeah, it's I think every league I run in is broadcasted, and you're the only one that she watches because you're the only one she could sit there for 40 minutes and actually watch. So it's that's a testament right there. Yeah, you're that entertaining. So it's
Oh wow, okay.
you always have better points. Maybe some of the other leagues have been a little more professional, but it's
It's the sound of your voice, Chris. You better watch out.
Yeah. Oh, nails on a chalkboard, man.
Oh,
right.
also congrats to Jeff. I mean, he ran the like most incredible season. I think I finished like second, third, or fourth, maybe 5 times to him. I don't know. I finished second to him a lot, so I got to see that rear bumper, and he did an amazing job on season. So congrats to him.
Well, really great, man. I hope I get to race against you next week in week 13. If not, take the week off, enjoy it, get your mind right, and looking forward to seeing what season 7 brings for you and the misses.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
You're on. Good dude, Joshua Dancy. We got, you know what? I'm going to let Peter take this because I feel a little underqualified to be interviewing the Skippy Formula 2 champion. I feel like the champion should be interviewing the champion, right? I think that's how that should work. So, Peter, take it away.
Wow, that's a lot to live up to. But I'm really pleased that we have our Skippy Formula 2 season champion, Rafael Bofil, in the broadcast booth. Rafa, say hi.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, congratulations. That was an amazing drive. How did you feel about it?
Well, first I have to say I hope you can understand my poor English. I always say that, but I'm feeling I don't have many words to say how I'm feeling. It's weird. I'm speaking with Peter, who is my teammate and my teacher, and it's amazing. Speak with Chris. This I hear Chris all the weeks on my work, and it's like my superhero. So it's strange to to stay here and speak with you. Um, I
Well,
don't have many words. I feel super happy, and I always um, I always saw in YouTube different channels about these racings, and now I am part of this, and for me it's amazing, really, very very
Yeah.
amazing.
Just in case the viewers don't know, Rafa, you live in Chile, and so you're not a native English speaker. But of course, maybe I can act as a little translator, even though I don't speak Spanish. But we've been working together all season. So I wanted to see if I could get you to tell a story about how you ended up joining Team Jason with Jason Bice, Pim Luth, and me. Do you remember how that started?
Yeah. Well, you know, Peter, my first race. Do you remember, Peter? What
Forget it, and I'll never let you forget it.
I I don't
It was
remember.
Okayama. It was
What
Okayama.
Okiyama? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I joined in a pub in a race alone, not with my team, and I crashed again against Jason Bice and Peter Lee, and I got black flags, and all was uh, terrific. That is the word, or not?
So just so what happened, and Chris and Michael, I think you'll get a kick out of this, is the very first league race that Rafa did, he took me out,
Oh,
and then later he took out Jason.
oh,
Yeah.
And then Jason thought that Rafa was such a menace on the track. Jason, in the middle of the race, yanked Rafa out of the race.
Yeah.
oh, I remember that.
how
Oh
long
my
ago was that? This
gosh, that was
season?
you. Yeah, I remember
That
Yeah.
that.
was you.
Oh my gosh.
Hey,
Was
but
that this season?
That
the
was
cool
this season, yep.
the
And
cool
then
thing, Peter, the cool thing is, the next day, Peter or Pim
Pim did
brought
it.
me brought me to my private channel, and they send me, they tell me, hey, you have to come with us in our team. In For me, it was like what? Because it's strange.
Yeah.
Well,
It was definitely Pim. It wasn't me, because the next day I was still upset at you.
yeah, yeah. But I
Yeah.
have learned something very important in this season. Um, we have to be humble always and learn of the best drivers in this league.
Gosh darn, you used the word humble, man. What is going on? I, that is well put. I think, one of the things that I am sitting here, I remember that. I remember that, and not until this moment though. I'm super grateful that they reached out and were able to, because it's always hard in the heat of the moment, and of course you're going to be frustrated and all those things. But we were talking just prior about how we have people from all over the world racing together and families are watching and it's just a unique thing. I think it's just to me it's the human element of that, and that is the human element. Somebody reached out to you and be like, hey, okay, cool, that sucked, but let's try let's bring you into the fold and work on this together, and look at that after that rough start, after what could potentially be the worst start in series history. you end up winning the Skippy Formula 2 championship and being an absolute force on the field. Because okay, so great, you won the Skippy Formula 2. Let's not forget the fact that you finished ninth in the Skippy Formula 1 race. I mean, you were top 10 there too. So, that to me, that is probably, I don't know, most improved may not be the right way to put it, but just a great story for the league.
Yeah. I have to say, for me, it's super, super, super important to be in my team, Team Jason, because Pim Luth and Peter, and of course, Jason Bice, always are saying, Rafa, you're doing well, and keep going. And I think that is the key for me to be a good team. Yeah. And I
Interesting.
would like to thank my family, to my wife. He knows I need time to practice and race all on the night.
Thank you,
I
Rafa's wife.
also, yeah, yeah.
Yep,
I
for sure.
also want to thank to our league because there are very nice people. I think it's a wonderful community. So I'm super happy with you guys.
Man, I gotta tell you, we're rooting for you. Sad that we won't see you in Skippy Formula 2 next season, but at the same time, it was well earned and um, very worthy of the transcendence into Skippy Formula 1. And I'll tell you what, that P9 that you got tonight is going to have some people on notice for sure moving into season 7. I think you're going to find a nice home there. And, I'm sure you'll miss it, but I think you're going to be making some people sweat a little bit come Sunday night in Skippy Formula 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck going forward, Raphael, and glad to see that you've graduated into the SF1 without, and hopefully no looking back, only looking forward. And I'm glad to see, congratulations on the season win.
Yeah, thank you. I also would like to say to all other drivers on the league, there are good drivers. I have learned a lot. I could drive. I liked drive, for example, against Bondberg, Matt, Oliver. Oliver, who he present me this league. Oliver is from Chile. I know Oliver in person.
You go
Oh,
unicycling with him?
I hope not.
No.
I didn't realize you guys knew each other in person.
Well, not in person, but he's from Santiago, the capital,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm from the south, the south,
Mm-hmm.
um, around 1,000 kilometers.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, yeah. But she is my he is my friend.
Well, yeah, we definitely wish the best for Oliver. I hated that he wasn't able to finish out the season because it was quite the picture, though. The picture was fantastic.
Yeah.
And
And we believed him.
we believe that it was an iRacing injury for just a little bit. He was very convincing.
Yeah. Thank
Well,
you guys
Rafa,
for your
big
time.
congratulations, and so do a little celebration and
Drink lots of wine.
yes.
Yeah. I told to my wife, I won, and was like, ah!
Break out the bubbly, some champagne. It's gonna be an awesome.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations again. Look forward to seeing what season 7 brings for you. Thank you for being a part of the league, and man, it's just it's a real pleasure. I'm glad everything worked out. It's a great story. Maybe
Yeah.
hey, if we ever do a podcast again, maybe we should include that little vignette. So. All right, man. Well, have a good rest of your night, day, whatever, and we'll see you around.
You too, guys. Thank you very much for all. Bye bye.
And bye and good night, Chris.
Adios.
Michael.
Awesome too. Well, I brought Jeffrey Decker in. I had a
If he's still here.
plan.
Yeah, I'm just lurking, man.
Yeah. Well, I brought you in because I had a plan and then I forgot that I had a plan because I wanted the uh, two champions to have a little conversation. But that's fine. That's fine. You know what? It's fine. I messed up.
Everything's fine.
Yeah. So
It's
I mean,
fine.
you entered the race with a commanding lead in the standing. So it was your championship lose, which, so, okay. So first of all, that is impressive in and of itself because as we've said 1,000 times, this is such a competitive league and, um, to go into the championship to the season finale with almost no worries. Now, granted, drop weeks and all that, the math can get kind of goofy, but I mean, 58 points. The stress might have been off a little bit. I don't know. Talk us through what your mentality was going into tonight. I mean, obviously, still walking away with a podium position didn't hurt. You were able to work your way up 4 positions. We saw you kind of just slowly creeping and methodically working your way up, but kind of want to hear about it from your perspective.
Yeah, I felt pretty good coming in to the race tonight. So I just tried not to put any pressure on myself. But then, of course, like quality happens, and I did like a good first lap, and I was like, all right, let's improve on this. And my quality lap that I started the race from was my first lap. I just overdrove a little bit, I think. Couldn't quite find my rhythm in qualifying. So um, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to finish out the season strong. Was a little disappointed with quali. So then yeah, same thing in the race. I actually ended up making a mistake and clipping the wall and damaging steering in the first stint. So kind of just had to pit as early as I possibly could. But yeah, overall the mentality was just try to have fun, go stress free, and just do the best I could. I love racing this track. It's no Belle Isle, but it is fun because it will punish you if you make the mistakes. And yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to have fun. That's the whole point of this league. Is I love racing everyone here. It's so competitive. Like I think I started P7 or P8, and that's I mean that just shows like anyone can jump up there. And Jason was so fast tonight. Eric was so fast tonight. Carl, I mean, just everyone in that front pack at some point was throwing down a fastest lap, and yeah, it was just a really fun time.
Yeah, I was watching your qualifying laps, and it's wow, look at this first lap, and then I could I started watching it fall apart a little bit. It was like your entry onto the straight. I was like wondering actually like what was going through your head as you were doing your qualifying laps because that you set such a great first quality lap, and then after it started falling apart, like what were you thinking?
Yeah, I bailed on the second one because I knew I was down, and then I think the third one, I missed like a different corner basically every lap after that. So the final 2 laps I had some problem in a different corner and was just like, oh well, I guess I'm stuck with what I'm stuck with. And it wasn't looking too bad. I think I was like P3, and then everyone's final cat lap came in, and all of a sudden I got pushed down the order, and I was like, all right, well, it'll be a different look than I was hoping for to start the race, but I just wanted to kind of stick with the pack and see what happened. Yeah, the risk of that is that on a street course like this, you're kind of subject to anyone ahead of you making a mistake and losing a ton of time from that. And there were a couple of small ones here and there, but it wasn't enough to really like send the race one way or the other. I think honestly, like my own mistake in clipping the wall was probably the biggest thing that pushed me back a little bit early.
Yeah, from the broadcast booth, I was wondering, like, are you going to be able to, like, mentally recover from not such a great quality lap and really get your mind into that race? And you totally just turned it around in that way and kept your patience and just amazed us all by keeping up there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's yeah, I think I was a little flustered in my first stint for sure. Especially like I think Mike got past me like into the fountain, and so I was trying to just like kind of hang out, but I probably pressed a little bit too hard early. And then I think like doing the early pit stop helped me just like take a mental break and a deep breath, and was like, all right, cool, let's try to see if we can catch back up with that pack. And luckily I did. It was fun trying to hunt them down. But yeah, I also had a little bit of fortune, I think, towards the end there to get on the podium because yeah, there were some unlucky contacts and stuff like that, which happens at places like this. But yeah, I think especially like Jason Scott really seemed like they deserve to be up on the podium and kind of finishing out the season a little bit better than they ended up doing.
Yeah, broadcast curse didn't play out very well for them, I guess. But
Well,
it definitely
I
worked
did
in your
notice that.
favor.
So that early pit, was that just to change up the rhythm, or were you,
No, I had
were you trying to
damage.
work it there?
Yeah, I had
Okay.
steering damage. So basically, I was just trying to stay. Like, I actually didn't get to do much fuel saving because once I damaged steering, I had to basically keep it pinned to try to stay in
Sure.
draft. And then I think like I had a bobble and lost the draft, and then lost like 3/10 or something like that a lap after that for I think 2 laps. So as soon as the window opened up, I kind of just wanted to get in, and it seemed like traffic was probably going to be okay if I pitted in and try to just get back in rhythm with a healthy car. So that was kind of just my goal. It's like, yeah, now that I've lost the draft, reset, try to get some clean laps in and maybe work on catching back up.
I believe it was you and Mike Bowers both pitted together there as well.
I think he might have come in like a lap after me. I was definitely the earliest pitter, I think. But I know, yeah, I think like the next lap, a couple of guys jumped in, and then it kind of started going from there.
Well, it certainly worked out for you. We were watching sort of that overall lead pack just slowly start to lose a little bit of time. Just when you've got that many people in a pack here, like you said, the smallest mistake causes a little bit of ripple right through the field. So if you've got someone like a you hunting everybody from behind, almost certainly going to be able to close up that gap. And we definitely saw the back markers kind of come into play a little bit, where you got some really good timing on some of the folks that you caught. You were able to get a draft and then get a clean sling around the corner. And then some of the guys ahead, kind of got stuck doing, too wide stuff around some of the traffic. Were you kind of keeping an eye on the traffic, trying to time that out, use that to your advantage?
Yeah, especially I think there was one where there was a car coming out of the pits, and I kind of sacrificed a little bit in turn one to make sure I was wide to give them enough space. And I think someone ahead of me got caught behind them. I think Dancy got caught behind them just enough time for me to get beside him and get through. So I was trying to kind of just keeping an eye out for that stuff. But basically, like when I got to the back of that pack, the other thing is that it's really hard to make a pass here in general, but then especially if you're at the back of a pack where everyone ahead of you has draft, and like it's really hard without kind of waiting for and trying to get a clear opportunity. So that's kind of just what I was hanging out waiting to do. And then the same thing kind of later with Scott and Jason, like they started fighting. So I thought maybe I'll start pushing up here. And I think I kind of got fortunate where I was when they had a little bit of contact, because I think if I sat a little bit further back, Scott's car went a little nutty. And I know Dancy had a really close call where I think he was actually under Scott's car at one point as it cartwheeled over him.
Oh yeah, they posted. Pete posted a picture of that in the Discord already.
Yeah, I watched that replay like 3 or 4 times. I was like, wow, that is incredible.
Well, that was a really strong performance tonight in any event, and I think we've kind of heard the repeating message from most of the people that we've had in the booth tonight, and we keep talking about it the whole season, where it's not the fastest lap, it's not the fastest pace, it's not being the balls out fastest driver. It's about maximizing opportunities, right? And you mentioned that specific word, and that kind of jumped out to me, right? Where it's putting yourself in the best position, the best mindset, and the best strategy to capitalize on the opportunities as they come. It's not you don't need to have crazy skill, crazy pace. Just need to have crazy preparation to be in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
And,
yeah.
it looks like that's exactly what you did tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, like coming out of qualifying, I was like, I think I'm just a little bit off pace for whatever reason. Like I was feeling pretty good this week, but for whatever reason, just came into the race off pace, and that was kind of just where I tried to go. Anytime I feel like where you think you're on the back foot a little bit, it's just like just try to slow down and be patient and look for those openings when they come. I think I forget who it is, but someone has "be patient" on like the inside of their livery. I think I saw that in the broadcast, and I'm like, that's a great reminder to have in the cockpit.
Spencer. Yep. Yeah, I'm hoping next season is all customized slogans. That's going to be
I
my
love those
lobby
messages,
campaign.
man. I'm digging that.
Right?
I'm just
Exactly.
gonna do the roll bar camera for everybody because I'm digging those.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
just
gotta think of
going
one
to
now.
stick with hi Chris for mine. I think.
That's solid. I like that. Maybe I'll take if Walter doesn't come back, maybe I'll take sorry Pete Mabrotten.
There you go.
Oh man. Well, congratulations once again, man. Again, we gotta wait for the math to check out, but it seems to me that you are the obvious champion, and it was a hell of a season for you, showing a lot of pace. And I don't know, man. What's your goal for? Last question. We'll let you go after this, but what's your goal for next season?
Honestly, I'm going to take it a little bit easier next season. As much fun as this season has been, and getting my first win kind of towards the beginning of the season and feeling pretty good about the championship, it has been a lot of work and kind of stressful. So I am very much looking forward to like taking it a little bit easier next season, and still trying to when Pete and I start battling on track, I'll get the feeling that I need to kind of put it down, but I don't know that I'll be doing quite as much prep throughout the week. I'm very much looking forward to kind of going out and focusing a little bit less on the competition and a little bit more on the fun part.
Yeah, I think it's good to get the proverbial monkey off the back there, and it kind of frees up. I think eventually you'll get the need for well, need for speed.
Need for
You're gonna be
speed.
fast. You're the need for another championship again eventually. But yeah, I can completely understand that, where it's like, okay, cool, accomplish that. Maybe you work on just enjoying the essence of what the league is a little bit more, because I gotta say, for anybody out there, you do have to put in the work if you're gonna get a championship, a top 3, a top 5, even a top 10. You gotta put in the work into this league. And so Jeffrey Decker did that, and he's going to be rewarded as such. And it's just awesome. We got another new champion. The parody is fantastic, and man, it was just a lot of fun watching you this year.
Well, cheers, man. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, especially being able to watch back the broadcasts and stuff like that. So massive thanks for always putting that work in week and week out to get us one too, because I know that definitely isn't easy and takes just as much effort as us going out there and racing as well.
I don't know about that, but I appreciate it either way. you guys put a lot of work in, for sure. Well, hey man, yeah. Any last final thoughts before we let you go?
No, just as always, thank you very, very much to my wife for always letting me do these and also hang out to talk to you guys, because I do enjoy this bit just as much. Thank you to you guys for the broadcast. Thanks just to the league in general and everyone racing in it. It is really, really nice to race in a league where everyone's on the same page and kind of has the same goals and wants to have like fun, clean racing, but also like be competitive with one another. And I think it's just a super hard thing to find, and it's something that I think has honestly like really kept me in iRacing and made me enjoy it a million times more than I think I would have just trying to trudge through pubs. So massive thanks there. And then thank you, Pete, for coming back next season. Maybe we could put the focus on you next season. And I'll really appreciate you being back and kind of getting back on the grid and fighting with the rest of us.
Week 1, Pete's car as the poster.
Yeah, we got to give him the poster curse week 1.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations once again. Just a hell of a job, well done. And we look forward to seeing what next season brings. If you hopefully you feel like racing week 13 next week, I will be out there and looking forward to that. But either way, if not, enjoy your week off, and we'll see you week 1 for season 7.
Listen, man, if you're on track, I'll be there 100%.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
I want to get lapped by the champ. That's what I want.
I want you to lap me, man. Let's pick something where you'll lap me.
Oh man. Maybe Saturday night. That could be good. I don't know. I'm gonna lap you in a Skippy or Formula V or USF 2K or anything like that. Maybe get some stock cars out there. We'll see. Maybe.
Let's do it. I'm in.
All right.
At Dirt Oval, let's do it.
See you around, buddy.
Thanks again, guys.
Jeffrey Decker, your season champion. Brought in Jason Bice. I brought Jason in because I want the admin kind of perspective. Just put a bow on the end of the season. I felt that was appropriate. I know Jason's not the only admin, but let's be honest, he is the face of the league, whether he likes it or not. And he is our rock, our foundation. And I just kind of wanted to get his thoughts on this season, what he sees moving forward. We can talk about the race. I know that I mean, it was awesome seeing you out there on pole, leading the race, all that. I don't, know if you want to talk about what looked like a potential net code going into the fountain area, blah blah blah. To me, like whatever you want to chat about, but the main thing I just wanted to get out of you was state of SNS and where you see us going.
Yeah, so about the season.
That's what I thought.
No, I mean that was definitely an unfortunate netcode incident, and yeah, it's tough because we had an amazing battle that was shaping up for the end of that race. I still don't know what happened to me in the pits. My pit stops have usually been very competitive,
Yeah.
and I hemorrhaged time and positions tonight when I had a pretty solid lead. So I don't know. When I came out, part of me was bummed, but part of me was also looking to not just hot lapping for the second half of the race. I don't think anybody really enjoys that, even if there's a win on the line. So at the very least, it was going to make it interesting. But I mean, we've been talking for 2 seasons about how there are netcode issues around the fountain. We saw something insane with Grandin and I think Hoops last season. I can't remember, but I mean, Grandin was like a car width away from somebody, and they got blown off the track. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm glad that nobody around Scott and I got caught up in it. I think Jeffrey got out by the skin of his teeth. But it's last laps, hard racing. It's a shame that we couldn't finish the race, but it was good battling for the second half of the race. Up to that, we had some really solid battling going on, so that was a lot of fun. As far as what's coming, we've got a Formula V that's getting released on Tuesday, which I am very, very much looking forward to. That's the car that I personally gravitated to in every other sim that I used before iRacing. So when on April Fools, when they announced that, I'm like, man, if you're jerking my chain, that's going to be a bummer. But yeah, it comes out Tuesday. So the only thing that can make that better is if they also release Knock Hill right along with it, because that would be just an amazing combination, car and track.
Yeah, Knock Hill and Formula V's is.
Yeah.
I'll jump on for that, unquestionably.
Yeah. For sure. So, a couple people have brought up in Discord, is there going to be a Formula V series? And that's not something that you, Ian, and myself have really talked about. I would love to have a conversation about that and sort of take the temperature of the room. We do have a challenge, and we have several challenges with this. Is we have a lot of series. We have SF1, SF2. And there's this, sort of hush hush series on the side that runs in parallel to SF2. And if we're going to bring on a new series, we've got to make some room somewhere to do that. We've also got the USF series kicking off in full swing on Thursdays next season. And all of our nights are saturated at that point. So I don't know where we put it, if we need to move something around to make it work. And then there's also the issue of, are we going to end up creating another SF1 where there's 40 plus cars on the grid? The spirit of the V is that it's an entry level car. I think it's a rookie class, rookie license when it gets released, so that people can use that as their path into open wheels instead of having to go through the MX5. I would love to honor that in some way, but as of right now, that's not super compatible with the league. So there's some issues to work out there if we decided to dive into a Formula V series. So I'm just brain dumping. This is what I've been thinking about
Yeah,
for the
no,
past couple of days.
it's all good stuff. There's a lot of good idea fairies out there, and there's not. It's not to say that they're not bad ideas. It's just that there's a lot of a lot of things at play, a lot of logistical things, and there's a lot of things we I think wish we could do that just aren't realistic.
Yeah.
And I say, the USF 2K series, we got a real shot in the arm with that, with some participation for this upcoming season. So that's going to follow, if nobody's aware of that, Thursday nights, going to follow the official schedule, or, roughly, I guess. Um, and that there was quite a outpouring of support for that, and so that grid, I think, has expanded from our practice, let's see how this is going to work, um, position. And so I think that's going to hit the ground running when it premieres. So there's that. To your point, there's different ways that you can attack. How do you incorporate the Formula V into the Sunday Night Skippy realm? But it's not going to come without a cost. We have all
Right.
these things that were in place, that work well now. So what are you willing to sacrifice to make the Formula V work, and what is that cost benefit analysis?
Yeah, exactly. And something that I'm just going to spill all kinds of beans. Something that I've been knocking around even before the Formula V was confirmed for next season. If there's anybody out there who would like to take on SMS, S is in Mary, or M is in Mary, and run with that, so that we could focus on the a potential V series if we wanted to explore that, that would be a huge help. And it might involve shuffling that to a different time slot. I don't know. So there's definitely a lot that we've got to sort out. But I hate to jinx it, because we had a very similar conversation when they were releasing the USF. We were talking on the broadcast at the end of that season, is there going to be an F4 series? And I said, if they do it halfway justice, then I don't see how we don't do it. And not to say that they didn't do it justice, but there were definitely some gremlins to work out in that car. Yeah. And it wasn't there yet, but now it is, and now we're running with it. So it's hard to articulate exactly what bar the V would have to meet to justify that. I think the easiest way to put it is if a bunch of our members hop into it next week and say, yeah, I want to run this every week, then we start talking, and start moving pieces around and seeing what that would take.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I guess that's a good point, is that we're assuming that it's going to be a fantastic replica right out the gate,
Yeah.
which may not be the case. It's a nice thought. Well, either
I
way,
think
we
one
may
thing
be
that'll-
potentially
go ahead.
running it for week 13 as a test. We haven't settled on a format yet necessarily, but I know that was in the running, the multi-class race.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think one thing that'll throw people off, if they haven't driven that car before, is it's not just a slower Skippy. It's a slower Skippy on racing slicks, and that's a completely different animal. So there that's going to have to factor into the appetite for it. It's not going to drive like the Skippy does. So we'll see where it goes.
One thing I want to ask you about, you had somebody from hashtag, I'm doing the hashtag, when you do the 2 fingers and 2 fingers hashtag, you guys can't see that. Hashtag Team Jason. Win the Skippy Formula 2 championship for the 2nd season in a row. So talk to me, just let it all out. You want to talk about spilling beans. What is your magic formula for creating champions?
Honestly, this season I have slacked in my coaching role quite a bit. There were some things that Pim and Peter and I did last season when it was just the 3 of us, and we got into a bit of a routine, breaking down telemetry, talking about a lot of the concepts, focusing less on what is Johnny Gindy doing, what is Pete doing, what is Carl doing, what are any of the coaches doing in their telemetry, and how do we copy that and move away from that and over to, okay, why does it look like this? What are they trying to accomplish that results in a trace that looks like this? And so we would talk a lot about that. So we got into the conceptual side of being fast quite often, and then also discussed race strategy quite a bit. And so when Rafa came along at the beginning of this season, I was pretty involved for the first few weeks, but to Jeff's earlier point, being competitive in this league can be exhausting. It's not just from the workload that goes into it, but just the expectations that you put on yourself going into a race. So I've actually made a point of skipping races. I've made a point of tanking my championship points so that when I go into a race, there's less on the line, and that's really helped me get around some burnout issues, both with managing the league with you guys and racing in general. And it's made the races themselves more enjoyable. I forced myself to start at the back a number of times so that I could experience that, and that's a lot of fun, by the way. We don't want everybody doing that all at once. That would lead to their own issues. But
Right up back at the front again.
yeah,
Monday
but
night Pit Start League.
yeah. But if anybody's looking to shake it up, once or twice and take some pressure off themselves, that's a really good way to do it. And so that helped me quite a bit. But part of pulling back wasn't just that, but it was also the daily conversations, coaching. I needed to pull back from that as well. There was just too many plates in the air, and it was kind of sapping the enjoyment out of things for me. But Peter and Pim ran with everything and all the concepts and the approach that we took last season with Rafa. And so they've been driving a lot of that learning amongst themselves. The three of them get together and practice on an almost nightly basis. And when you do that, you're just going to get faster. It's a certainty. As long as you're practicing well. If you're just hopping out on the track in Discord with somebody and shooting the breeze while you're doing laps, that's probably not going to be very productive. You might even build some bad habits, but we've talked about that as well. What does a good practice session look like? So they keep track of all of that, and they've really been driving that on their own. They'll occasionally ask questions. We'll occasionally look at telemetry, but I've been pretty hands off, I'd say, for 3/4 of this season. So yeah, that's on them, not me.
It's great, man. Well, I mean, setting the stage for that, it sounds huge in and of itself, but clearly a lot of credit there to Peter and Pim for taking up the torch and carrying it through. Um, I'm curious. I haven't been able to do a post mortem on the standings or anything like that. Clearly, we haven't updated the results yet, which I'm sure we'll hear about in about 7 minutes. But
It's true.
there's a lot of names just up here, and I'm the parody that has come about. I don't know why. I can't root cause analysis it too much. Some of it's probably the coaching. Some of it's probably SF2. Some of it's any number of things. I'm sure, but I just think that it's each race, the more we go into each season, um, I don't know what's going to happen. You look at who you would just expect to walk away, and now they're not walking away from pack anymore. And you got guys who are
Yeah.
figuring out this fuel strategy thing a little bit, and able to really make a science of it, and getting gains from that. So, um, I was going to ask you what you expect from season 7, but to be honest with you, I think the right answer is who the heck knows.
Yeah, that's impossible to answer. You reach a point where you just start hitting diminishing returns with your practice time. It's one of the reasons that I pulled back. I don't want to speak for Pete. I suspect Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, I suspect that's been some sort of factor. Like, to pick up a few more hundreds, you're gonna have to put in how many more hours of time. And there's time there. There are other people doing it, obviously. There are a couple guys out there like, Johnny Gindy, of course, Benny, Simonson. There's time there to be had. but the investment that needs to be made to get your hands wrapped around it, at least for me, just isn't worth it. And so you hit a wall, and meanwhile, other people are figuring out the things that maybe you figured out not too long ago, and they're catching up. And so we're getting a a condensing of the skills, what we used to call the lead pack. I don't know that we can say that anymore. It's not the lead pack was 5 guys. Well, now it's 10, and that's going to keep growing. And you know, how many different people were in contention for the win tonight? Um, when you see something like that, there's no way to predict who's going to win a race, who's going to win a season.
I'll admit, just in the heat of the moment, I called Adam Wright a mid packer the last season or the season before. And maybe that's accurate. I got to look at the results, but he's all the way up there now. And I don't. The point I was trying to make here, though, is like I don't know that I know who define mid pack right now.
I don't know.
I couldn't pick somebody on the list and be like, "Yep, that's a mid packer." So it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how you. I don't know where you draw that line.
It
I
felt
really
it
don't.
felt way more tiered before, I guess is what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you knew who was, and I don't think it was any secret. I'm saying everybody was like, okay, this is the top third, middle third, bottom third. I just don't know that the distinction is there at least as nearly as clearly anymore. It could depend on the race, the track.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good place to be. The gradient is still there, right? There's still someone to
Sure.
race
Well,
or
certainly.
anybody. But yeah, we don't have those like really big snap lines anymore. Even like when you look at our qualifying, sometimes it's only 1 or 2 seconds, through the whole field. I think we've seen within maybe 2 to 3 seconds for the whole field. But the top 20 is often within 1 second, and it doesn't drop off dramatically, right? Whereas previously you would have top 10 and then like 2 second gap, right? And then the next group. There's still a spread. It's still accessible, to basically anybody, but it's a much more gradual. The intervals between people are on just pace at least are much more gradual, and you don't have those big drop offs anymore, right? It's sort of it's an even skill distribution at this point.
Yeah, yeah. And we're going to really see that on display at Summit Point, because we were at Summit Point for the first race either 2 or 3 seasons ago, and the spread then was about 1.5 seconds, if I recall, Pete. I can't remember.
Mhm.
It's going to be that just cranked to an 11 in 2 weeks, because everybody's just gotten that much faster since the last time we were there. That's going to be a very fascinating race.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and
That's a good word.
there's a lot of good fighting opportunities there too.
Yeah.
With everyone getting super aggressive lately too, which is really fun to watch, and now going to be really fun to be on track with. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yep.
Well,
I
gents,
totally agree.
the time is growing late, and we've officially entered the podcast portion of the broadcast. And without Ian, usually Ian's the one who gets me off on these tangents, but
Yeah.
I managed to accomplish that with you guys all on our lonesome here. But I guess what I'll say is just final thoughts. Maybe we can throw a podcast. I'm hoping we can throw a podcast together to maybe wax, philosophical on all these other things too. But if you just wanted to think about past season or maybe the next season or whatever you want to talk about, and put a bow as we finish our last broadcast for season 6 and go into week 13. Pete.
Yeah, no, just really looking forward to next season. We just kind of hashed it over. I'm anticipating a lot of goddamn problems for next season, and I am really looking forward to it. There's so many new names, in that top 10 contender list that I'm really looking forward to getting on track with everyone, and starting to feel everyone out. It's going to be like racing sort of a new field, right? With old names but new field, if that makes any sense, right? It just seems like it's going to be totally new drivers once I get back on, and I am really excited to get up to speed with everyone.
Jason?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we're going to see harder racing, closer racing next season than we have ever seen. I've noticed that between seasons, there's something to be said for taking a little bit of a break and turning the dial down, at the very least for a brief period of time. Because when people go into week 13, breathe, relax, give your brain a little bit of time to solidify some things under the hood, and then they show up in week one, and like to Pete's point, new problems show up, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where that goes. I'm also looking forward to not messing with Dan Lisa anymore. So more on that later.
More to come on that.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. When it works, but boy. All right. Well, yeah. No, I got nothing of value to add to that. Just want to thank everybody for tuning in and being so supportive. Everybody always has really nice things to say. I don't know that they're always warranted, but either way, I do appreciate it. We appreciate all the nice thoughts around our family and our newborn that we got through the season. I mean, we freaking had a kid this season. Things change, man. Life is crazy. Um, continue to look in. I don't want to. There may be an addition to the Cav Racing Network broadcast. I don't want to spill any beans because it's still in the new stages, but keep your eyes out on that for that. It won't involve me necessarily, but yeah, we may be expanding a little bit, which is but
Very cool.
the yeah, that's it, man. Everybody take care of yourselves and just really appreciate everybody's support. The thing I'm looking forward to next season the most is just kind of seeing where everybody kind of lands out and who's putting in the work and who's kind of drawn back a little bit. And I know that I'm personally, we've talked on Discord about me being in however many different leagues. I think I just need to draw back a little bit myself. So probably pick a couple and stick with those, and we'll get through the summer and then reevaluate. But yeah, that's it. I really appreciate everybody's time, and it's been a lot of fun. I think we've had a lot of awesome moments. I wish there was an automatic way to get all the great, clips of the times that you just needed to like stand up and yell, because there was plenty of those this past season. And I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did watching with us, chatting with us. Um, that's all I got. We'll see you guys next week. We're not going to be broadcasting week 13. I'll be running it, maybe streaming it. We'll see. So we can still interact if anybody wants to jump on in. Otherwise, 2 weeks from now, week one, season 7, Summit Point. We will see you then.
Awesome. Thanks for all you do, Chris.